All right, what is going on, everybody? Zombies here again, and today we are back with another episode of The Fighting Pit, episode 11, back from our little break from last week, and this will be going up on Saturday instead of Friday like normal. However, one of the little perks we have here of recording a day late is we have another guest here, and this is one we have had on before. Dallas is joining us again. How you doing, Dallas?
Hey everyone. Thanks for inviting me back. Doing good. How are you?
Good. Looking forward to talking about Mercenary stuff. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. And as always, I am joined by my two co-hosts here, Mullahoo and WizardBeast. How you guys doing today?
Yeah, tired but good.
Same. Been a long week,
Long
but
week.
Yeah, seriously. What a man, this week is just the nut low. I'm gonna go on record and put that on note. I think I speak for everybody. We won't dwell on it too much, but
it's
been a bit.
it's like that meme with the sailor. What a week, huh, Captain? It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's how this whole week is felt. But happy to be here. Happy to be talking Merc stuff. We have a lot of stuff to talk about this week. So just to give a little overview here, what we're going to be covering is we're going to be starting off on the new event. Chi-Ji Lunar New Year event has been here. We've had a little bit of time to mess around with that, so that's going to be our kind of first topic of discussion. Then we're going to talk about, the new Mercs, the new meta that's starting to change and develop around them. A little bit of discussion on the 14K cap no longer being a thing. And so why don't we just get right into it here? Chi-Ji event is live. So for anyone who might not know, this is a limited time event, and I believe it is going until March 8th. So you have about another week or so, a little bit over a week to kind of get this done. And this event, as they said before, is kind of aimed at more enfranchised mercenary players. So I'm curious, just starting off the bat, what do we initial impressions, now that we've had some time to, I don't know if you guys have all gotten all the way through it or not. I finished mine up a few days ago, but I'm curious what we all kind of think about it. Do you want to start, Mullahoo?
Yeah. I basically, like I said, I've been doing probably the least amount of grinding, I'd guess, of all of us here. Just everything's been wild, but the patch, the event kind of pulled me back on. We streamed it and ran through the entire event right on that day, right? So what the event was in total are these 10 tasks that are basically like, and I kind of kept saying this on stream all the time, but it was kind of like a new precedent for a puzzle mode, right? That I really actually enjoyed this a good amount. It actually made me think about things. It made me go in and have the experience that I kind of felt like you guys were actually getting by doing the early pre-nerf heroic Drekthar stuff. That was like, this is hard, man. Like, I have to try. Well, I didn't have to try before. I've never had to try in this game before in PvE, and then it makes you try, but then you beat it eventually, and you get that Dark Souls pop off, and it's great. And this made me kind of think, and I did have like people helping out, right? It was kind of a mass effort in that sense, so it made it easier. But it was new, it was hard, it was interesting. It would have been really hard if I had played this game for like 2 weeks, like borderline unsolvable, I think, and that kind of felt like a problem. But as a player who hasn't been only playing for 2 weeks, I actually really like this a lot.
Sweet. You want to go next, Alice?
I don't mind going next. I just realized I think I'm not picking up audio on Audacity, but hang on a sec.
It's all good.
That's all right.
Technical difficulties. Here, you want to?
Man.
That's all good. It's no worries. You want to talk about it, WizardBeast, while Dallas figures that out real quick?
Sure. So yeah, kind of for the event, overall, I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't do it in one run through. I kind of split it out over a couple days because, as they initially said, they wanted to do only 2 tasks a day, but that was kind of a problem that happened. Is just all of a sudden you finish the second one, and first day the third one was available, and you could just go through the whole event already.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of spaced it out kind of just to feel like it. And it was kind of nice not having to rush through it. I took my time, did
did
like
it as
3 the
intended.
first day. Yeah, kind of. I did it like in,
That's
like,
cool.
3 to
I
4 days.
yeah.
So it was kind of nice to space it out and like just to see what the timing would have been like. And I felt like it was actually nice, next day it's like, oh, I have a couple, new quests to go do and just to kind of see how it is. But overall, I really liked it. And earlier today, I put a tweet out about the event just to kind of get everyone's thoughts. And I was actually surprised. Majority of the people, I got a lot of responses, all liked it. There was a
Nice.
couple people who kind of like were, newer who said they think they would have liked to enjoy it, but they just couldn't get to it. They just didn't have the right mercenaries. But besides that, most of the people said it was nice to have something new. A couple people even came back for it because they saw and it was really interesting. So it was kind of cool to hear, some people coming back just for this event.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I didn't do it all in one shot. I did it like half and half. Because I was doing guide stuff for it and whatnot, which is kind of cool. That is one thing I do like as kind of, someone who does a lot of Mercenaries content. It's cool to have something else to focus on in terms of PvE that is not mindless and unwatchable. Like, I just have a hard time playing PvE sometimes, because even in some of the newer stuff, which can be a little bit challenging, my brain is like hardwired from like all the hours of grinding to just shut off. Like like it's, I have to put in a lot of effort to actually like think during PvE, because I just don't. I'm just really not thinking in PvE a lot of the time. But these ones make you think, especially the big thing that I've noticed, especially with these newer ones, is you have to think through some of these. I think almost getting to the boss is in some cases a lot harder than doing the boss. I feel like they definitely toned down the heroic bosses a little bit compared to the last batch of them, but like getting to them can be, if you're not paying attention, you can just get rolled. Like there's this big protector who gains attack based on how much damage you deal to like another enemy. I did not read what that did, and I looked away and I looked back, and there's a 100, 200 unit staring me down, and that run was over. So I had to pay a little bit.
To me.
Yeah, that happened to you too.
On stream, by the
That's
way.
cool. I like that.
Yeah,
we can't just, we got to stay awake.
Yeah, no,
It
it's
was
good.
good. Like it was challenging. I think I fixed up my audio issues, by the way.
Awesome.
So what I think of the event? Look, it was a great idea. I think like thematically it was really cool. With Chinese New Year and everything. I think they could have executed it a lot better. As you know, there was like so many bugs.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that seemed
really
like
changed
a side issue, unfortunately. I mean, obviously it was tied to it, right? But what do you mean by like the bugs?
Well, are you
uneducated?
Oh, okay, yeah. So, the bugs that I experienced, okay, and the ones that I know about. So if you took a potato from the mystery spot, it could mess up your run. You wouldn't get
it just wouldn't complete. Like you wouldn't get
it wouldn't complete the test. Yeah.
And those are like on the ones where your team had to be like all the same one, right? Was that why it was breaking the?
I think so. Something like that.
I didn't look into it.
The buggo. That was like my instinct, but
yeah, it was also if you had like a summon on your team. Like I used Belinda, and I found out I didn't get my quest completion because I used Belinda. And she has the water elemental or the fire elemental. What other bugs were there? Like I think similar to that, if you took a boon, I think it was just the caster boon, but I wasn't sure.
It was all three.
Yeah, I think it was just any boon.
Any boon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then like if you didn't know that, like not everybody reads the forums and goes on Discord and stuff like that. Well, how would they feel? Like
I saw how they feel. There have been if you've been monitoring the not even that, the Mercenaries Discord, the amount of new people I have seen hop in there, and the immediate first thing they're asking about is why didn't my thing complete. There were a lot of them, and some of them were very understandably frustrated because I think a lot of these people were players who, some of them had a much more limited collection, and it took them 2, 3, 4 times to beat it for that first time. So when it takes you that long to beat that, and then you finally beat it, and then it doesn't complete, like, it just makes you want to quit the game, right? Like, I would just want to close out the game and never look at that again, because I know how much, like, what's it? Fight number 8. I know I had trouble with this. I know I watched you had trouble with this too, Dallas. The heroic local are by far the hardest of the bunch. Like, that is not an easy fight, even if you have all the right stuff for it. And
which one was that one? Was that the all fighter one or something?
I think it's 3 beasts, right?
It's either
Localar in it.
Yeah, it's heroic Localar.
He's on the right.
I think it's either 3 beasts or 3 dragons, or it might be the one with beasts and no, I think it's the one with beasts and dragons. You need a full dragon and beast team. That's it. Yeah. So obviously your options are kind of limited there because there are only so many beasts and dragons, especially if you don't have the new dragon. I do not know how. I mean, I'm sure Old Guardian is a great guide for it because he does those great budget versions too. But like, I don't know how I would have beat that without like the very specific comp I used, like Long Jin, because like you just need to focus him with blues in the beginning, because if you can't kill Localar like by turn 3 or 4, it's just
funny how they said
he rolls you.
This event was targeted at experienced hardcore players. Do you remember reading that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More in franchise, like not as.
It's really strange that they would do it like that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of unprecedented across. Like most of the time, events, if anything, are like the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like, here you go. I know you have nothing, but you can like play this cool thing and feel like you're doing something like new and funky. But yeah, this almost felt like a weird, maybe like just placating the experienced players a little bit, like just giving us a cool taste of a PvE experience. Like, it could be.
Yeah, it's. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, from like all of the things we've seen recently, it seems like their focus has definitely been Mercenaries mode as for people who are gonna invest a ton of time into it. You know, overall, with every decision that they've made so far, including this event, it seems like they're always focusing on the people who are staying in for the long time, not someone who's just hopping in for a couple minutes, trying it out, and then stopping. It seems like it is for the people who are committing to it fully. That's what I've kind of noticed from all of these decisions, you know, kind of adding up.
Yeah, I mean, I would not argue against that, really, for the most part. I mean, it's certainly interesting. I think, and I didn't even think about this at first, but Zeddy, I think, was the one who asked on Twitter about this. So obviously this event, like we just were talking about, is more targeted towards enfranchised players. However, there is a little bit of a negative if you're not really interested or able to complete the event. You lose out on those Toki coins for pretty much the whole duration of this event.
That is weird. That does.
And I don't
want to explain what that is too, because I didn't even understand what that was until today, really.
Yeah, so basically this event takes up the same slot on your bounty board as the daily Toki refresh. So anyone who doesn't know, the daily Toki thing is you get 2 random 25 coins. They could be, I think, for any level of mercenary, like rare, epic, legendary, whatever. And you just have to complete 2 bounties. And that's kind of like Mercs' version of their daily quest, right? It's not much. It really isn't much, especially, you know, with people with so many extra coins. A lot of times you get useless coins. But especially for players who don't have a super developed collection, those rewards can be pretty valuable, because if you don't have a lot of maxed dudes, a lot of times that's getting you coins for people you don't have. And sure, maybe, you know, 25 or 50 a day or whatever isn't a lot, but it adds up over time. And so with this, the event is filling that slot. And even when you complete the event, I don't think that is coming up, which is really, really strange to me. Like,
Toki just didn't come back. Like, she just left, and I think it might have been WizardBeast that might have said it, of like, it could be that Toki is leaving entirely, right? That she's never coming back, and that it's actually being hardcore fully replaced, and this is the interim. But then at that point, like, why, like, let her stay until she's actually gone? But normally these games don't really like take something away preemptively, so it does feel really weird that you just lost access to a daily. But then it's also like, at least on I don't know if there's a bug on my end or if everyone else has this, but are your story quests also up? But for an event, like I have my like go kill Vandar Stormpike.
Yep.
It's been there for like a week, and the actual bounty is not a clickable button in the game. And so like that space is also taking up a Toki space, and you literally can't even use it. Like at that point, just make that go away and put Toki there. So that definitely felt really weird. Like yet again, just like there really had to be another sour taste feeling just stuck in here for that. Like why man, why?
The only thing I could think of is originally how they wanted to roll out, 2 tasks a day, is maybe that's why the Toki thing wouldn't be out yet. Maybe it's supposed to come back like the next week.
No, that's actually a super good call. Yeah, that originally apparently the Chiji tasks were supposed to be 2 a day, and so you could it was going to take you like 5 days to get Chiji. But no, actually that's probably a good call. That the fact that it accidentally released all 10, but they had plotted out, don't put Toki here, put this quest here, and that wasn't fixed. That I like that the most.
It could be.
Yeah,
it definitely could be. When Deck Tech responded when Zeddy was asking him about that, and he actually brought up a post from quite some time ago. I think this was like back in November. I'm not sure, but it was saying for the task board, and the quote is, "For instance, we think Toki is doing her job well, but that her visits could be more interesting. We're also exploring more ways to give players tasks." So, and also touching on that bounty thing, that is another one where the amount of questions about, hey, why can't I unlock this boss, has been really high. Like even people
how do I get Vandar Stormpike?
Like who are active on like Twitter and other forms of like social media where you might like happen to see some of this stuff talked about a bit more. I've seen even a bunch of people on there not knowing what's up with this. And I don't know if you guys got this pop-up too, but I think a few days ago there was a pop-up in the mailbox that was like, hey, Ivis, Kazakis, and Vandar are now accessible in Alterac Valley.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
But I think it was the loading, the welcome to Hearthstone, like the first screen, actually, I think.
I got it on mobile.
Maybe it was the other one.
So it was in the mailbox for me.
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah,
it was weird because, and we did find out that I guess the people who do the in-game notifications like that are their own little group, and I think that was just an error of they didn't get the memo of when some of this. I'm guessing this was changed at some point because it mentions Ivis too. So I think they were actually splitting it up into 2 groups of 3,
like 3 and 3.
Yeah, but they didn't do that because obviously we have the first 4. I think the reason for that is they didn't want to lock any equipment behind heroics that weren't usable for the new Mercs, but then they went and did that with Chiji. So I don't fully understand that. Like personally, I was really annoyed to see that, like, oh cool, we get this new mercenary, free stuff's always nice, right? And I generally, bugs aside, I liked the challenges, but the equipment I was most excited for on Chiji is the one that's locked behind a heroic boss we can't do. And
but having said that, Zombie, I think maybe they made, I don't know why they made this decision, but it ended up kind of being good because like even speaking to Franky, he said this, like he didn't feel pressured to have to max it straight away. So if that's what they intended, worked out pretty well.
We actually like straight up soul read that a couple months ago we were almost like asking for that. I think on the podcast I was like, is there ever a world where they literally like,
I think
what was it? Yeah, what we were talking about like an accessibility thing. We were like, what if they literally just took it away from us? Like, don't let us grind it that fast. Like people are just straight up burning out. And it seems like this is kind of a step in that direction. Like you're saying, like this actually did feel like kind of a good thing. You're like, oh, like I will just come back slowly over the course of a series of days and that'll be okay.
I just think it's weird the amount of time. Like, so it is going to be well, I think they confirmed that we're getting the bounties after the Chi event ends on the 8th of March.
It's so far away.
Yeah, well,
like to hide the equipment for like 2 weeks.
I think
more time for us. That's good.
I think their logic was, I'm guessing here that since we got this last Mercs drop so quickly, like arguably too quickly. I mean, I don't think I've heard anyone say otherwise. Like, it was kind of a whirlwind. I think the last meta from the new characters wasn't even fully figured out yet. Like, obviously we knew some top contenders like Frost Valera and stuff, but like it hadn't fully like gotten to we know what the absolute best comps are yet, in my opinion. And then we got new guys already. And even like some of the most dedicated grinders I know, like Sign of Times, like even he was like, this is a little fast. Like, I think that was a pretty common sentiment, even from us who are really excited about new characters for PvP, because, you know, PvP is our primary, you know, enjoyment of the game. It's just, it felt really fast. So I feel like extending this out might have been them being like, hey, the next drop might not come till like late March or something, right? Instead of being like 3 weeks, maybe it's more like 5 or 6 weeks. And so to kind of pad that timing out a little bit, you know, Chi came a week later, and you can't max her or get that third item for another like 2 weeks. So I think it's maybe the intention is to like you guys were saying, just spread it out a little bit, so that way you can't just burn through all that content in a weekend or a few days and then have none of it left to do for the next however many weeks.
I mean, it would be pretty sick if technically they actually could keep up with releasing like 45 Mercs almost faster than a month. But if imagine if they fixed the extra coins problem and that was something they could uphold, like that would be amazing. Like if people literally couldn't solve the meta fast enough, like, I mean, that's the dream essentially in any game, like competitively. And so this could be an angle to kind of hit that if they could fix the accessibility or the grind itself.
Yeah, big if there. Big if. But eventually, right? Generally, though, I think the big thing for future events is I think the bugs to me are kind of the biggest thing, because I saw like I knew about pretty much all the bugs before I did my stuff, so it didn't like impact me very negatively. But seeing how negatively it has impacted some people, it was very clear that created what I would consider an exit point for some people. Like, like I just can't be bothered with this. And some of the things were really, there were some less impactful bugs, but that were just very confusing on some of the tasks. Like we've gotten task bugs before. Like this is a pro tip for anyone doing Yulon. His task number 17 is bugged right now. So if you don't know what it is, it's about preventing damage with him somehow. And I think it's supposed to use his damage preventing equipment, like with the other dragons, and prevent damage. Well, it doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. So the workaround... So
you can't complete it?
You can, but you can't complete it with just him. There's a workaround. If you use Sinestra, you have to use... I think you have to have her second item, so you get that more damage reduction on her heal. Yep. You can then use that on Yulon, and then I just taunt up Yulon to force, the attackers to go into it, and preventing damage that way progresses and finishes the task. But like,
and you only have to prevent 700 damage, so it takes like, it's not that bad.
Wait,
no,
what?
No, it's not that bad. No, it's only like really 50 700? Or 100 or something. It's not very much. Yeah. But there was another one where I think one of Chi-Ji's later ones is like, the wording is wrong on it. It says like defeat 800 enemies or something. It's actually just deal 800 damage or something. Like night and day difference in terms of what that means, obviously, right? So
at least it said enemies.
Yeah.
There should be alternate achievements where you can like, if you change out like one word and then can do that achievement, you get bonus points. So it's like you can do 800 damage, or if you can kill 800 enemies you get a fancy Chi-Chi skin. Like, you can just be an absolute psycho and do this.
Don't give them ideas.
Right? Right? Tell me that people wouldn't gobble that up.
Honestly,
1,000 beast kills incoming.
Yeah, exactly.
That
to get the cookie monster skin.
Blaming you,
I do
it. Blaming you, Mullahoo. This happens.
Honestly, I really like that idea, mainly because it reminds me of something I absolutely loved about Constructed, and this was one of my favorite things about, like, when I was first getting into Hearthstone. That long-term grind of going for a golden portrait and the golden hero power from 500 wins. It was just like, when you hit that, it takes forever. It is not by any stretch of the imagination a short-term goal, but when you eventually hit that, the kind of satisfaction and the reward that you kind of just get a flex with this awesome thing that doesn't cost you any money, and people can't buy their way to that. That is earned. So I would really love if we could eventually get a system in Mercenaries where either you get a skin for doing that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a special one or anything like that. Even just giving players something like that to, like, I'm a big proponent of, we need at least some other way to get skins other than packs, because I have been through about 60 or 70 packs since the patch. I got some with the bundle. I had some stored up. I did some farming for some. I have not gotten one rare Yulon skin. And I got 4 for the ox or the bull or whatever. But it's just incredibly frustrating because, like, the odds of, you're guaranteed a rare portrait essentially, because I always get that 50 rare coins, but I'm only getting it for stuff I already have all the portraits for. I've never had a problem getting a rare portrait, at least one. That's never happened to me before in a release, and I think it's because the pool keeps getting bigger, so the odds of what I'm looking for keep going down over time, especially for rares and epics where we're getting, 2 of them a set now? That pool is expanding much, much quicker than the legendary pool. And
see, I don't know about that. Like, you know how I was talking to you about this, and maybe we can get some comments in the video below of and like sharing your own experiences. Because when I used to open packs, and this was before, because now they have the portrait icon when you roll a portrait, right? Previously, it'd be like a gold card, right?
Yeah, just your standard Mercenaries,
your card, and it will glow gold. That's when you knew you rolled a legendary portrait. Back then, it would be very easy for me to open one of those, or not open, but like have one of those appear. And whenever I saw that, I would most likely get either a diamond or a gold portrait. This was in like November, just before Valera, I think. And what I'm trying to say is, like, I reckon they've changed something, because I don't see many portraits anymore. Like, the reason why I have so many diamonds, I have like all the diamonds except for Longshin, is because I had all the gold ones. So basically, whenever I rolled that legendary, it meant I was getting a diamond. So that's why I was buying packs. But now something's changed. Like, I've opened, look, I'll tell you the truth. I've spent about $50 plus since Belinda came out, and that's a lot of money. Like, it's just over a month.
So how many diamonds in that, more or less?
0.
That's
and
insane.
Wow.
To be quite honest, I've spent about, like, I'm just saying that's telling you something. I'm looking for 1 diamond. I got one from Belinda, and not from Belinda.
The bundle, right?
Belinda one from the bundle, yeah. But I've bought a lot of packs, and so that kind of tells you, like, I don't think that's just variance. They've done something, and I've asked someone in Blizzard to verify this, so I've messaged them privately. Still waiting for their response.
Good luck. I mean, I've from anecdotal experience, it definitely felt like certain times there were like weird odds as if some number behind the scenes did get tweaked. I remember like when that one day when WizardBeast, literally you open like 3 diamonds in like in like
that
10
was
packs
crazy, bro.
Yeah.
But then like so many people kept coming into my chat that day and being like, I just bought that. It was the Valera bundle. It was like the $15 Valera bundle or something like that. For some reason, again, completely could just be purely anecdotal, but that day I had never seen more people claim to open diamonds than any other day that this game has been legal. So there could totally be something kind of behind the scenes to you there, Daz.
I think like if they're bundles, there's a strong chance. But there's something going on with the packs specifically. Like if you're opening bundles, it's pretty easy to get the diamonds, I think. Like your
the guaranteed legendary, right? Yeah,
definitely helps.
Yeah. And they've actually done something with a lot of the bundles now. Before they were offering like portraits, like say if you had the base, and you would get a portrait instead. Now they've changed a lot of the wording on them to say you're only going to get 100 coins. So I thought that was interesting.
They warn you now too if you already have it, which they did not do before, which is good that they warn you. And one thing I thought was really strange with the bundles is we got the new bundle this time, right? It was different. Before we would get, I think they were the same for Valera, Edwin, Belinda. It was $15. You got the new legendary mercenary. I think you got 100 coins for them, and you got 5 packs, and that was pretty consistent. But for this release, they did not do that. We got something different. So we got like what do they call it? Like the Omega bundle or something silly. And it was 2 portraits, right, for Longjin, 200 coins. I think they doubled the pack, so like 10. So it's like they doubled the value, right? But the weird thing that I really did not like about this is, and I'm someone who's a big fan of the cosmetics in this game. If you don't already have Longjin, one of your portraits it's just the regular, and then you get 1 portrait out of it. So it kind of, if you care about skins or if you care about trying to get that diamond, you're kind of incentivized to open him from a pack first, because that makes the value better in terms of if you like the skins, you're not going to use the default, right? Like it feels kind of wasteful to me. So it's like, I want the full value for that. I want to get both skins, give myself that better chance at getting the diamond, but that means I have to open him in packs first if I want those better odds. And I just really didn't like that. I don't mind that that's an option. I don't like that it replaced the $15 option. I think, like, I was actually going to recommend, like, people, if you're going to spend money in Mercenaries, that $15 like bundle thing, when the thing comes out, that's probably some of the best money you can spend in Mercs if you want to keep your collection updated. But like, it's not here, so I can't really recommend it.
Yeah, this one definitely seemed a little bit more like limit testy in terms of like, for the people, like you said, like for some of us that are just like hardcore like portrait farming. I mean, 2 legendary portraits essentially was an unprecedented offer. Like, it really seems as if they went, I mean, it seems like this whole event, right, was purely aimed at the established player. Like, it was the event, you couldn't do it unless you had these certain mercs. The bundle, it's even better when you've already kind of ripped a bunch of packs into it, or have Longshin, or really care about getting a full collection. Like, the actual, you can just slam all 10 of the tasks right away. Like, I don't know, it definitely seemed like a lot of things about this were geared towards that entrenched player.
Yeah, I'm thinking that this Omega bundle for the Longshin is hopefully just related to the event. I don't think like the next batch of Mercs is gonna be another 30. I think they're just doing this.
I hope
because they also had the Year of the Tiger bundle and stuff. So they had a lot more bundles come out at the same time. I think it's just because of the Chinese New Year event.
That could be.
So I think they just
that.
So that's why I'm thinking just to put it in for this to kind of boost it up.
Yeah, I think so too. What's interesting is they didn't release like another legendary bundle for this week. Like, usually they have
yeah, you're right.
So like, if you think about it, it kind of averages out like to $20. Well, for me it was $40 for the Longshin bundle. So it was like 20 for that week, and then this week.
Yeah, I could see that.
Is the fancy Longshin bundle even up right now? I was curious to see what was in my shop right now.
Pretty sure
and
it's
this
gone.
is the smallest I've ever seen it. I have the OG welcome bundle that I still haven't bought. Hashtag free play. And then my Chi coins mega stack, kings, my beasts, and then that's it. It's just the packs. I literally don't even have any bundles basically available to me right now. I don't know if you guys also have yours up still, but
yeah, I didn't have anything change in my shop this week.
Oh, really?
It was all the same.
I have what's it? So my shop when I first opened it was like yours, Mullahoo. Like I had the Chi and I had the beasts and then nothing. But that was when I looked on like mobile. When I opened it on PC, I have that. You know how they pretty much almost every week there's one of those like I don't know, it's like $30, 20 packs, and a specific mercenary legendary or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this week's like Malfurion or something. But I still have that one. Yeah.
I think you might want to check your audio because it's coming across crackly.
Oh, that's weird.
I just wouldn't want it to record like the whole thing and your voice is all crackly.
Might just be a connection thing.
I think it's just the internet thing.
Yeah, sometimes my internet can be a little sometimes late at night here the internet gets a little wonky. So, but thank you for the heads up. I'll definitely double check that. Because, that's one of those things you don't want to be finding out by the time you finish recording.
Yeah, it'd be hard for people to listen to on YouTube if it was crackly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's always like
you're saying it's all good, then all right.
Yeah, good looking out though, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, so I have the Malf bundle thing in my store. But yeah, they didn't do, like Dallas said, usually after that first week, they do a random legendary Merc with some packs or something as a bundle. And those are generally, like, if you do want to spend money on the game, those are the way to do it. Like, I refuse to ever buy packs again outside of a bundle. It's like, I remember, and this happened to me at launch. So this was like, I don't know, like a week, 2 weeks after launch or something. I bought the, what was it? I think I bought like a 60-pack bundle thing, like $70, I don't know, something like that.
The Lich King ones or something?
No, it was just a pack thing.
Good old days, man.
There was no bundle with it. And this was also before they implemented that change where if you buy a bundle with the legendary, you get a skin. Before, you should just get 100 coins if you had all the legendaries. It was awful. But I wanted a legendary skin. I still had not gotten one yet. And I did not do any of the pre-orders, none of that stuff, because I was not really sold on Mercenaries pre-release. Quite the opposite, actually. And so I was just like, all right, screw it. 60 packs, I've got to get, at least something decent in here, right? And I opened those 60 packs. I did not get one legendary skin. Not a one. A lot of useless coins, too. And that was the moment I was like, okay, yeah, the odds in this game are awful. The duplicate protection, or I suppose lack of it, is a joke. And I am never going to buy individual packs again unless it's with gold. And I'm missing a mercenary. I can't. I had never felt so bad spending money on Hearthstone as I did in that experience. And it really just, I've talked with a few different people about it, but in your character collecting and progressing game, if you're making the primary way for people to spend money have a bad experience, like major feel bads, there's something not right there. I think I read for, average human psychology, it takes, I think, 5 good experiences to outweigh one really negative one. And let me tell you, that experience was a really negative one. So it's just
TG event number 1. 4 more to go.
It was just, I don't know. I just really, as someone who likes the cosmetics a lot, I think they do a great job with their presentation and the artwork and all that stuff behind it. I just wish they were more accessible in a way that didn't feel like really, really awful gambling, because that's really what it feels like. Especially with that, I can't get over that rare skin thing, man. I am so salty about that. I didn't even want a skin for the stupid ox, but instead I get 4 for it, and literally 0. And it's a rare. At least with the epics, I understand those are weighted a little bit higher. I have never had trouble getting one rare skin for a character. Somewhere between 60 and 70 packs between now and I don't know when the new Mercs dropped, because I waited and saved some up, and still not one. And I've just stopped. Like I'm just saving the packs I earn from the tasks and gold for the next drop, because I get so much crap out of it. And then when you see that conversion of a 75 coins for an epic you already have when you're still missing skins for epics, it just feels incredibly bad. It makes me want to close the game. Like,
yeah. So kind of like speaking on that, like between your point and Dallas before, how he was talking about with like variants and everything in packs. So yeah, a couple weeks ago, I bought 50 packs of just gold, so 5,000 gold into it. And within those 2 weeks of opening, I opened 3 diamonds, and I got like all of the Rathion epic skins. So I've had like kind of the opposite, where I've been having really good luck. I don't think I've ever gotten 100 coins for a legendary for opening it, because I don't have any of the legendaries with all of their portraits. So I think it's, it depends on the person's collection. Like as Dallas, I think you have like almost all of the legendary portraits overall, right?
I think he's missed
like a pretty big
4 or
chunk.
5. He has a lot of them.
I have most of them, yeah.
Yeah, so kind of like going on that point, every legendary they're going to release, because it's one pool in the packs, if it's you get a random, okay, here it's going to be a legendary, and then once it is a legendary, then it picks a random one in your collection. It could just randomly be picking one that you have all the portraits for, and then there's 100 coins. Like where I don't have any, it's kind of like what you were saying in the beginning.
Yeah. Is it just going to get worse and worse
every time? Yeah, so it's going to get worse and worse for like someone like you who's been collecting them so fast with all the portraits. Whereas with me, I haven't been getting all the portraits too fast. I haven't been opening a crazy amount of packs, but I've still opened, I think, probably like 300 to 400 now. A lot of it with gold. And I've been getting decent skins of portraits for epics and legendaries with diamonds. Like I think in the last now 3 weeks I've opened 3 diamond skins and 2 legendary skins for the portraits. So I've had pretty good luck, but I don't have any of them. I don't have a single legendary that has all of their portraits. So I think when it comes to that, every time I have a legendary pop up now, I'm getting a portrait guaranteed. Whereas you do it and you have a very high chance of getting 100 coins, because if you only have 1 or 2 legendaries that don't have any portraits, I don't know the exact amount of legendaries in the game, but I'm guessing there's probably like 20-ish.
Yeah, I think it's about there.
Between all 3 rolls. So if you're rolling and it's 1 out of 20 or 1/10 of a chance, the odds of getting I think are very low right now.
And they only get worse.
I mean, I was going to say, to me, that just screams like, all right, what's the best way to fix that? You go to what Zombies was talking about before, and you introduce a way for people to essentially be able to select a skin, right? Like you grind some kind of reward. Imagine people would love the opportunity to do a quest chain or whatever and just pick. You don't get any, so like you don't get to pick a diamond skin, so those are still really fancy, but you can pick any like rare skin. There's a quest chain for that, or you can unlock the pick any one epic skin. And if you don't have the Merc, like you can get the Merc. Like that's fine. Like if you've never played Valeera, you can pick a sick Valeera skin. Cool. That's an insanely cool, awesome, tangible reward that people would grind the shit out for. And that sounds like a great way to fit, especially if they don't want to start mixing with any like the pack value, though they kind of assume, I don't know, that seems like it'll probably change at some point too, because the numbers do seem a little wonky. But yeah, let people just grind to a cosmetic. We currently can't do that basically right now, and that feels silly.
Yeah, what I would love from that is having that go into PvP. Adding into the chest, say like the, what is it, 4,000 or 5,000 chest. If you reach that, maybe you get a rare portrait. You hit the 75, then you get epic. And if you hit like the 10k chest, then it's a guaranteed random legendary.
Yeah, you don't
like
even get to choose. It just gives them to you. Yeah, for sure. That seems so free.
And it gives
a guaranteed
people a reason
legendary
to play
portrait every
PvP.
month.
Like that would
more
be
incentive
huge.
for people to go into it.
And then you start getting some PvP specific skins. You get gladiator skins for everybody. You can only get those by doing PvP.
Yeah, I would love to have portraits that are limited, like to people like early on like us, if they had like something that I thought would be really cool is, you know how like epics and rares don't have diamond skins. Imagine if like during this month, if you hit like the 10K chest, you get the diamond skin for like Vol'jin or something, and it shows, hey, I played that month. Just like in Hearthstone Standard, how you have the card back for that month, you could be like, I played back in season 1, and it would be such a big incentive, I feel like, for people.
That would actually be the nuttiest reward ever. If you could suddenly get diamond skins for entire rarities that didn't have diamond skins. Whew! Oh man. Oh man.
I like that idea.
That's a good one. That's a good idea.
I think
I'll probably do that.
Yeah,
good idea, man.
Stamp it now.
The big thing for me,
sell it to you later.
It's like, yeah, right. Is player choice, I think, is a big one. Like, I really like choosing your skin, because it's like a great example of this. I was talking about trying to get my first legendary skin. Well, my first legendary skin that I got was for Illidan, actually. It was kind of one of the lame ones. It's before he's like all demonized, so it wasn't that great. But when I got it, Illidan had not been buffed yet, so he was pretty much unplayable. And there are definitely more than a handful of legendaries out there in that boat. Looking at you, Jiraxis and Uther. And like it turns what should be a exciting and positive moment into a negative when it's like, man, I got this skin for a character I don't play, or I got this skin for a character that is not usable in PvP, and I wish I could have got something that, you know, for the character that I like. Like, I'm a big Illidan fan, so I wish I could have got that really neat, one of the fancier skins, or like a Valeera skin, since she's so popular and useful in PvP. Like, I think there just needs to be, like, yeah, you should, kind of
like how the rewards track is now.
Yeah,
where, like, you get like the 200 levels, you pick a skin from any of the classes.
Exactly,
or, like you get the final rewards track, you pick a skin from.
There should be some way, like, it doesn't even need to be like the predominant way to get skins, but there just should be some way where you can choose. Right now, the only option you have for that is if you want to buy one of those limited time bundles where it shows you the specific character. That's kind of the closest thing we have right now. And like, I don't know about you guys, but that bundle's kind of steep to me. Like, I think it's like $30 or something, and it's not like terrible pack value or portrait value. It's just like, I already put enough money into the game upon new releases, just buying the bundle or whatever. And if that's going to be happening on like a monthly basis, I just don't really feel like I can justify spending more than that, or I don't really want to spend more than that. I'd rather put my money elsewhere. So it's, I think just adding a bit of player choice in some way for cosmetics would really make the feel bads go, like, it wouldn't be as bad. And I think I'm kind of a little bit in between where you are with WizardBeast and where you are, Dallas, with the skins. Like, I have a lot of legendary skins, but there are also a lot of legendaries that I don't have most of the skins for. Like, I think I have a skin for at least every legendary. There are 20, by the way, I counted it. And I'm looking through my collection on like HS Replay, but there are a ton of the legendaries where I have literally only one. I'm missing, but important to note, even with me missing a fair amount of skins for these legendaries, I have gotten that 100 legendary coins more than a handful of times. So I think it's just, the technology is there for duplicate protection. If you're not going to put it in for like the more basic stuff like coins, the very least you can do is put it in for something that is, you know, intentionally there for people who spend more for the cosmetics. Like, it's literally like the least you can do, because it just, it makes pack opening a terrible experience when you get 100 coins and it, like,
can someone
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain how the chance works right now? Like, how does it roll for the packs? I remember there was a Reddit post once that explained it really, really well, but I couldn't find it. Does anyone know?
So
because maybe the viewers,
I think I get
or the
it.
listeners want to.
Basically, from what I understand, how Mercenaries packs work are you're guaranteed a mercenary in each pack, right? Once you get to the point of owning all the mercenaries or owning all the rares, there won't always be a mercenary in every pack, I believe, because then the epics and legendaries are weighted at a little bit different rarity, right? But once you've collected all of them, from what I've noticed, it basically, when you open a pack, it gets converted. And this conversion is from skins, I believe. So I think you are guaranteed, once you have all the mercenaries, to get a rare skin or a rare skin roll in every pack. Because if you have all those if you have the rare skin for that character, it converts to 50 rare coins. And then
so let me get this straight. So you don't have all the mercenaries. So when you open a pack, you're guaranteed to get a mercenary. Okay. And then once you have all the mercenaries, that guaranteed mercenary slot changes to a I
think it's a rare portrait.
Or a portrait.
Well, I think the portrait
I don't think
rolls...
it's a rare portrait, man, because that means I would get the rare portrait straight away, right?
Well, the problem is the no duplicate protection, right? Because
okay.
With basically, from what I've noticed doing my packs this time, every time I open a pack, if it's just coins, at least one of those rare coin slots is 50 rare coins, which is the conversion rate of a rare skin. But we know there's no duplicate protection because, as I said before, I'm missing all the Yulan skins. I still get that 50 rare mercenary coins in every pack I've opened, pretty much. But I think how it works for the higher rarities, they have, a smaller chance, but I've actually gotten quite a bit of epic portrait rolls. But again, those, I think how it's been explained to me, the game basically rolls in the pack if whatever their odds are for the portrait for the epic or for the legendary, if it rolls that, it randomly selects from the pool what epic you get. So like the other day, I opened a pack and it selected Eudora in that pool. Well, I have all 4 Eudora skins, so it converts it to 75 coins. And it's just frustrating because there are a fair amount of characters I'm missing epic skins for still. And it's just like, why am I... This is another issue that's compounded by the fact that we don't have an excess coin fix. Maybe those 75 epic coins wouldn't feel as bad if I could do something with them. But unfortunately, we can't. And so it's really kind of like a double hitter with the feels bads, right? Like it just... it really kind of hurts that...
Sorry,
we've got the graphic here from WizardBeast.
So this is from Ridiculous Hat. This was 4 months ago, and this is how I thought it worked as well. So
let's see.
You have your guaranteed slot. It rolls a rarity. Do I own every merc of this rarity? No. Okay, then you get that merc. You get a guaranteed merc from that rarity pool. Like, so if you rolled legendary there, you'll get a legendary that you don't have. Okay, but what if you had all the legendaries? Okay, roll any merc of that. Did I follow that right? No. Okay, if you have all the legendaries, then it goes, do I own all of their portraits? No. Open a portrait. That's what was happening before. And then if it's yes, you have all the portraits, then get some coins. Roll any merc of that. Oh wait, hey, roll any merc of that. Okay, do I own all the portraits? Oh, okay. Never mind. This is how it works. All right, I was wrong. I'm sorry. So if this is right, yeah. Okay, so this is how it works. This is way easier to understand.
Yeah. However,
yeah, that's how it works then.
If we need a flowchart to understand their pack system, they have a much bigger problem at hand, right? Like the fact that we can't just read this cohesively and know what our odds are is problematic.
Yeah, I just real quick just tested out. I logged in and just bought 10 packs of gold, and just out of luck, I just got 3 epic portraits and 2 rares out of 10 packs.
Are you kidding me?
Not even joking.
I also actually, as a meme, bought 2 packs and got 1 epic skin.
Yeah, you guys are gonna make me go open a pack, aren't you? Now,
dude, everyone go and open a pack. Dear listener, go and open a pack. See what happens. 100 gold. It's a daily.
You got 3 epic portraits?
3 epics. Yeah, 3 epics and 2 rares, 2 Yuan rares.
Oh,
and then I
you.
got two Yuan rare portraits, two variants, and then Antonitis, who I didn't have anything for.
So it's
that's so good.
It's 100% variance screwing me, and I know that. Like, I literally can't roll the Yulon portraits to save my life, and I'm just. It's just so frustrating. Like, because I'm pretty sure I have every other rare portrait in the game. I can check this with the HS replay thing, which, if you don't know, highly recommend the HS replay collection manager thing. You do not need a subscription for it. All you need is the Hearthstone deck tracker, and it'll sync up your collection. And it is great if you want I just find it to be much more cohesive at viewing my collection than viewing it in the client, especially if you're looking at portraits. So I'm like quickly scrolling through all my portraits here, and you can sort by rarity too, so I can look just by rares. And I'm scrolling. Yeah, literally I have every rare portrait in the game except any for Yulon. And it just won't roll any. Like, I cannot seem to get the Yulon rolls. And I think it's just variance. Like, we talked a little bit before. Like, I remember, I think it was last release with Localar and all them. I thought they changed something. Like, I had so much better luck opening my packs last time in terms of getting coins for the new guys and all that. I swear I thought they had changed something. And then I did it this time, and I got 50 coins for the legendary. I got 0 coins for either rare. And I got like 50-ish for the epic, one of the epics. And I was just like, okay, that was variance last time because I got absolutely hosed. It's just, there needs to be some, like, because the way it is right now, let's see, how many rares are there in the game? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20... 25 rares. There are 25 rares in the game right now. So every time it sounds
20 legendaries?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's actually a weirder distribution than I thought, to be honest.
Super weird.
At least that's what it's saying on here. But so 25 rares. So basically the odds of me getting a portrait, right, that I want for this Yulon are 1 out of 25. However, that means, I could open it, in 25 packs, I could get one. Or I could go 50 packs and get none, because that opening more packs does not increase my chances of getting the right one, right? And I think that's the big problem I have with it. Like, I could literally, in theory, spend an infinite amount of money, and if I'm just never lucky, I just won't get it. Like, there's no guarantee, there's no nothing. And because it's a rare, you won't even get, like, at least with the, like, they had that Zhuen bundle, or sometimes they have the random skin bundle for like an epic or something. Those don't exist for rares. That's not a thing that exists in the store. So if you don't get it from a pack, there's no way to get a rare skin. And that bugs me as someone who just wanted to collect like a skin for every character. I don't need them all. I don't need all the diamonds, whatever. But like, I just wanted to, and I had that goal complete last set. I finally got Rogers, and I got Uther, and that was my last legendary, and I was like, boom, all right, goal complete. And I did not expect, one set later, the one I'd be struggling to get is a goddamn rare. Like, it's incredibly frustrating to me.
I mean, theoretically, it's going to be one of the hardest.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what it seems like, at least because I just looked at my collection Hearthstone replay, there's like 5 rares that I actually don't have skins for. So I think it works in your favor when you have more mercenaries that don't have all the skins.
Oh,
Because
definitely.
then you have a higher chance at rolling. So if I have like a bunch of them, I only have 1 left on the rares. So it gives me, that's 5 chances of getting a guaranteed rare portrait then, versus, 1 mercenary with, you're missing 3, like you're saying for Yuan.
I have 1 chance.
Then
Yep.
yeah, you have 1 chance, and that's, you have to do that 3 times.
Yeah.
So
I just want 1. Just 1.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm not gonna lie, all this talk makes me want to play a new account on another server just to be able to open packs and have every pack be the nut again.
Yeah, I just started that recently on the Asia server, trying that out free to play.
Of trying to, because you're trying to get to what, 7,500?
Yeah, I've only
PvP chest, you were saying.
Yeah, I haven't played on it too much, but I'm gonna start working on that more this week.
How did like even just the very beginning start to feel? Did it seem like it was just ludicrously daunting? Was it like, oh, I'm just gonna turbo through this because I know everything?
I'm trying to take it from the point of view of someone who's coming in brand new. So I'm not trying to do like any of those like, I know all of the tricks, I'm gonna do this and speed run through it. I'm just taking it like as a brand new player. Did a couple of just the starting quest to just get some gold so I can buy the training grounds right away, which as a new player feels so much better having the training grounds.
That's the tech, huh?
I can see that. Yeah.
So it's nice just going for that right away. But packs, it feels every pack I'm opening, it feels good. I'm getting something that is useful. So as a new player kind of coming in, it doesn't actually feel as bad as I thought it would. Like, it's feeling so far pretty good. I haven't done too much PvP. I think I only did a couple games, just getting like the first couple hundred, which is mainly just bots right now. But overall, it hasn't felt that bad. And it's like I'm not hard grinding it. I'm just gonna every now and then put a couple hours into it, just see how it feels overall.
Yeah, which is again like probably the new player experience, right? Is like they're not just gonna sit there and play for 12 hours. They're gonna play it like a normal human being, like an hour every day or something.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to keep us posted on how that goes, because I think it's a really interesting way to kind of go about it. I think the big thing about this, and we can use this as a little bit of a segue here, is I like the term trickle down, and I think a lot of the problems in Mercenaries, the people who are most impacted are the most dedicated players. But I think kind of a misconception that a lot of people don't fully realize is these problems will trickle down to everybody else. They're just not seeing it quite as immediately as we are. But they're still going to have these same problems in the long term, assuming these things aren't changed in another 4 or 5 months, which that's been how long the game has been out, and still not even a change in sight, right? So I think that's kind of like a big thing to me, and I was thinking we could use this as a segue to talk a little bit about the ladder change, as that is another issue that I think on the surface, the fix they did looks really nice, but it's far from perfect, and there's still some pretty big issues with that that will eventually trickle down to the larger portion of the player base. So for those who don't know, ladder used to be capped. So if you played PvP and Mercenaries, if you got up to 14,000 external rating, that little number you see when you're queuing up games, you could not go any higher. That was it. Even if you were on 14,000 and you won some games, it did not move your position in the leaderboard. However, if you lost games, it would knock you back down. So we've been dealing with that since December, better part of 3 months. And obviously it was an issue that was frustrating a lot of top players because, well, the intention was good of making it a little bit easier to hit that 12K chest. It almost entirely removed competition at the top of ladder because you couldn't really realistically compete for that #1 spot anymore. Everyone was just kind of tied. And I know a fair amount of, people who are very passionate about Mercenaries and the competitive PvP aspects of it, who just, after seeing for a long time that this wasn't something that was being remedied, they just stopped playing entirely. And obviously, this is an issue that, on the surface, really only affects the top percent of the player base, right? Like, the majority of people playing PvP in this game might not ever see past 10K, right? Like, I think that'd be a pretty safe guess to make, let alone 12K or higher. But it's still important, like, to have that stuff there for the people who want to compete, because that really drives a lot of the people who care about the PvP in this game. Like, we've seen it with, the different community events we've done, other members of the community have done. There's definitely desire for more competitive stuff in this mode. And when the default competitive option in-game, the ladder system, doesn't really fulfill that at all, it feels pretty bad for those players.
Yeah, what I was going to say on this, Which I am happy that they finally raised the cap, because that was exactly what I asked for last podcast. I was like, just enter a new number that's larger.
Yeah.
You know, do that, get it done. It's gonna take some time for them to figure it out. So I'm so glad that at least there's no more ties now for, 170 something tie for first by the end of the month. So overall, I feel like that is a really good change just to have in the meantime. It's not perfect. It needs a lot of work, but just to have it where people can say, you know what, I am number 1 now at the end of the month, or I am number 60, or I'm number 5 for sure, and have that exact number, I feel like at least makes it feel so much better to the
Having
people
said
who are
that,
on the leaderboard.
yeah, no, I do agree. Like, it's good that they remove the cap and then people can compete a bit more. But having said that, I don't. There are still problems with the current MMR ladder system that's in place. I mean,
sure.
I'll give you one really good example. Everybody here knows Sensor, right? Okay. Would you agree that he is one of the top players in this game?
Easily.
Okay. Easily. Yes, he's a great overall, he's a really good player. He can actually play the game. Yeah, he plays at a really, really high level. He's a great deck builder as well. He's a nice guy too. But he has a problem right now. I mean, there's a number of problems, but regards to Hearthstone, he can't queue into people. His queue times are like over 10 minutes on average. And then he has the issue where, did I disconnect or not? You know?
Yeah,
he
so
can't climb.
Like,
Yeah, you don't know. And that is his experience right now. And it's not just him. There's multiple players as well. And there's two issues there. Like, the fact that it takes a long time for high internal MMR players to queue, because it takes longer for us to queue, basically. And then we can't climb as high enough, as fast, sorry. And then on top of that, it's like the rating gain, that we get. I mean, there's still that issue with the rating gain and loss, where you can still climb, even if you have a sub 50% win rate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we have people that are at the top of the ladder that, I mean, they've put in the work, they've put in the time to climb there, but I wouldn't say that they're the number 1 player or anything like that. I'm not saying that the number 1 player doesn't deserve his current rank. I haven't looked at who it is really. But what I'm saying is there's people at the top that shouldn't be at the top, and that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
In addition to that, and this is my last point, there have been bots. There's a number of bots that are playing on ladder right now that are they're basically just cheating, and they're abusing the current system by using these bots, and they're able to climb to astronomical levels. Like on China, 2 people reached the actual cap, which is around 102k, 102,000 rating.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
it's happening on EU, it's happening on Americas as well, and that needs to be fixed. And I'd like for them to say something about that or do something. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, they I think we do know that the 2 people most, like, what's the term, blatantly abusing that, I think on China did get banned. Like, one guy hit 103k, which is the new cap, which again, not humanly possible to hit that, especially if your internal MMR is any decent rating. I mean, even if it's low, I don't think it's possible to do that in a month. But so I think they did ban the 2 people who did that. It would not surprise me if there are way more people abusing this. I don't know if they've taken any action against people doing it on other servers, because I know China's server is kind of, I'm pretty sure Hearthstone in general over there is monitored differently.
I think China's, it's managed by another entity.
It's not just Blizzard, because they have to work through another company to work in China.
Yeah, it's that other company that's managing that. So I don't know.
So I don't know.
I don't know if Blizzard Activision has done anything about the like Americas, Europe, and what's the Asian server called?
Asia Pacific, APAC, yeah.
Is it APAC? Okay, yeah. I don't know if they're doing the same thing on our ladders.
And speaking to as someone who is I don't know, like I consider myself a part of the Wild community. Wild had a cheating problem very recently, and it was a pretty big one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
recently?
yeah, like just that patch that finally nerfed Sorcerer's Apprentice was the one that kind of got rid of the cheating deck for now.
Oh,
but
is that why they did that? I was wondering why they did this all of a sudden.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that was a big reason behind it. It got really bad. Like, so basically, for anyone who doesn't know, there was, and I've heard actually at the beginning of Mercenaries, someone was using the same cheat in Mercenaries, and I think got banned. But only they were using it in PvE, not PvP. But basically, what it does is it's like a client-side cheat that speeds up the animations or like gets rid of a lot of the time in animations. So you have like it's like things are at super speed. It's like you can take a turn that's 4 times longer than the normal turn would be allowed in Hearthstone. And that was allowing people to play this deck APM Mage, where you basically draw your whole deck and keep spamming ignites that get bigger and bigger and just kill your opponent in one turn. And the problem with it was you literally, like, the majority of the time with that deck, you could not do that in the amount of time a single Hearthstone turn allows. But with this hack, you were able to. And it became a pretty big problem. Like, literally, people were cheating to the top of the leaderboards across multiple servers. And Wild is kind of like Mercenaries in that the people who are playing for these top ranks, they aren't playing for anything other than kind of self-accomplishment and bragging rights, right? Like, it's not like Standard where you get invited to a Mythic Tour or whatever, Master Store, whatever you're calling it. But there's no point, right? Like, it's just for fun and for your own kind of sense of competitiveness, seeing how you can stack up. And unfortunately, like this was very well documented. Like, a few big name Wild people put out stuff about it. Like, it was very well documented. In fact, someone was so blatant they actually streamed themselves using the cheats. That was one of the few people I think that actually got banned. But
wait, is that guy? Who was it?
It was I don't know their name. I think it was someone from either it was, I don't remember their exact name. If I saw it on the leaderboard, I'd probably know it. But this issue was raised. The whole reason I'm bringing this up is because the issue was raised to Blizzard, and basically the response was, we don't like to talk about cheating stuff because that perpetuates the knowledge of it, and then more people end up cheating and yada yada yada. But the problem was they really did, like, they could obviously detect that this was happening, right? Like, this is something you can measure is happening because someone used these same cheats to try and speed up their Mercenaries PvP experience. I read a thing about it because, you know, obviously animations in Mercenaries, those take time. So if you can cut out all your animations, you can farm faster. Well, they were able to pick up on that because the person who did that got banned. And this was very early on. This was in like the first month of Mercenaries. I read a post about this, yeah. And so they have ways of seeing that this is happening, but like, I'm pretty sure the majority of people using these cheats never got banned. The cheating deck went away because they nerfed the card that was enabling it. And I really don't like how from that experience, it left kind of a sour taste in my mouth about how they handle cheats. Like, another new card game that came out recently was that Yu-Gi-Oh game. That game has had like 1 or 2 instances of cheating where people were like injecting stuff into the client to do silly things, like make their deck really small so you could just draw Exodia and win, or make your opponent auto-concede, silly stuff like that. Both those issues were acknowledged and fixed in less than a week. And I guarantee you Konami is putting way, way less money and resources into that than Blizzard is putting into Hearthstone. So I really think they should be taking a more aggressive stance against cheaters, but I don't really expect it to happen.
Yeah, I kind of wish that Hearthstone had a report system in game.
Yeah,
because kind of going to one of Blizzard's other games, Overwatch, they have a really good support for reporting and everything in that game. And it's cool because if you report someone, say for cheating in that game, and next time you log in, you might get a message saying, hey, we've acted against this person, they got banned, they got time suspension or something. So it also, lets you know, hey, my report's actually working. So because you can, yeah, so it's nice to also kind of enforce people to want to report things happening instead of just being like, okay, it happened, it sucks, I'm just gonna let it go, nothing happens. So something as simple as just adding a system like that would, I feel like, be more of a deterrent for people, but then also get rid of the people who are currently doing it by having more people, help point this out. And then if Wizard's seeing a lot more reports of like, hey, this one person has like 30 reports in like a couple days, I think they might be more intrigued to kind of like hit the ban button or something,
Yeah,
I think DexTech pointed out that there is a report feature just in the BattleNet part. Like, it's not in game, but like if you have BattleNet still open, you can do it. Obviously, just like literally a single step separated, which I think is what you're basically saying, right? Is like, if anyone even has to breathe in the wrong direction, like they're just not going to report. They just forget and they just go next, right? So I definitely think you're right, but that there is technically some way to report. I believe there, because I remember some people asking about that on Twitter, and Nick, DexTech was like, yeah, it's actually in here, but it's just, it's outside of the client, right? It's like in part of the client, just in the BattleNet part. But no one even knows about it, let alone uses it, let alone remembers. Like, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Make people aware of that.
I don't know what it is.
You can't even use it for Mercenaries though, because we don't have their tag numbers. And there's no way to see them. At least in standard, you can try and add somebody after, it'll show their tag. You can't do that in Mercenaries currently. So, I mean, I want that anyway. I would like to be able to add people to my friends list. Like, sometimes I have a great game and I want to be like, hey, good game, cool comp.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. And whatnot. We don't even have that option. It's just another one of those weird things where it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why we're going back to the Hearthstone Stone Age here of 9 deck slots, not being able to add people after a game. Like, it feels like we're starting from square one, and that was kind of acceptable back in 2014. But after, especially, for people who've been with the game a long time and have seen all these things improve, I think it really makes things feel worse when you're going back to a system that we already know the improvements exist and they've been figured out. They're just not here in this mode for some reason. But yeah, I think an in-game report system would go a long way. The big thing that gets me about the ladder system is, I mean, you did a really good job of explaining it, Dallas. And Franky posted a thing outlining it on his Twitter a little bit ago, where it's like I consider personally, like, easily 2 of the absolute best players I know are Censor and Franky. Like, when I see them play, it's like they're playing like 4D chess. Like, they see lines and think of stuff that doesn't even cross my mind. And there's a reason they're 2 of the best players, like, in my opinion. But it's just like, one thing, especially as someone who produces content and tries to get a lot of games in for that, I feel almost actively discouraged from really trying to improve my play because, one, obviously it's not going to really help me get higher on the leaderboard because my internal MMR is where it is and it's at a point where the queue times are long and it makes it harder to climb. But the kind of bigger thing is, if I actually do work to improve myself and get better, I get punished with longer queue times. And that is like, I mean, the queue times are already too long for me. Like, if it goes past 5 minutes, I don't know if that's really sustainable for me. Like, it's just so much of the time I put into recording is spent doing nothing. And I really, like, I'm fortunate because I have a decent amount of time to record. But if I didn't, like, the content just wouldn't be coming because I can't spend all that time in queues. And if I had to deal with Censor's queue times, I would 100% quit this game. I could not do 10-minute queues. I just couldn't do it. Like, that, like, imagine you do that and then you queue into someone and then they insta-concede. Like or it's just
like an unwinnable matchup or something like that, and you rematch them 3 times or something.
And literally, he's told me about that happening. And I guess one thing that improved a little bit is now, a lot of the time, they've somehow sped up the rematches a little, so the re-queuing isn't as bad specifically for rematching someone, but like you get a lot of these instant concedes, and it's just like, it's just beyond frustrating. It's like the game just isn't letting you play, and it's really punishing a lot of the best players, and I think that's just a really fundamentally flawed system. Like, it's just, it actively encourages me from wanting to get better at the game, because I don't really feel rewarded for it, and I feel punished. And I just, that blows my mind that that's something like I even have to think about. But from hearing their experience, like especially Sensors, because I think he has the longest queue time out of anybody I know. Like consistently, he showed me pictures 9 to 10 minute queues, and it's just, and he's not even playing at like really off hours a lot of the time. Like they should be populated hours, but it's just his internal is so high that it's, the matchmaking is so very strict on who you can run into, and we still don't know what exactly calculates it, right? We have some suspicions about different things, but it's definitely an issue. I would like, that's the aside. Yeah.
Sorry to keep going. Sorry.
No, go ahead. It's all good.
Okay, thanks, man. You were saying about the matchmaking, right? And his internal was really high, and I just thought of something. Like, I understand why they have this matchmaking system, because the idea is that they want, they don't want people to get smashed into the ground all the time, and then they quit, and then they're not gonna play the game and buy packs and spend money, blah 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 blah. Okay, that's cool. I think that can work for like people outside the top 200 maybe, and maybe what they should do is people in maybe just the top 100 or top 50 at least don't have that system, and you know, because what's happening is, like Sensor, and I mean my queues aren't too bad. I get like 5-minute queues, but I think like for the top 100, top 50, they shouldn't have that limit on being able to match quickly with other people around their rating, and then the people below that, they'll have that system. Maybe they should do something like that, because then the people below, they won't have bad experiences. People above, they're just competitive. They'll keep on playing. So I just thought of something. I just wanted to.
Yeah. Well, we were kind of talking about that, of like, what if they introduced like Legend, right? Like that, because you can't, I don't think they'll ever be able to do it just based off of like, are you on the leaderboard? But when you break into Legend, then like there are no more bots. It is purely based on like just external rating, nothing else. Like that would be fine. I think
people would be down for that.
No, standard still has an internal MMR stuff that it checks, but
it's not as strict though.
It might be.
It's not nearly as strict. Like Mercenaries is very strict with its internal, and I think
the external is loosey goosey, which is like weirdly the problem where like Sensor has the issue of like can't play against anybody, but then you have people that are a couple thousand external lower. Like I'm at like 10K playing against 15K like all the time. Like 5,000 difference is like, it's the internal is so heavily weighted right now, which I think is the TLDR of like really what we're saying. It's just like, it's not only is it leading to abuse of that system because it's so misweighted, but it's just leading to like all kinds of weird other things. I mean, but this is just kind of in the story of Mercenaries, right? Of just like tweaking these numbers like up and down, up and down, up and down, like narrower and narrower towards like what we want it to be. It's just taken, I think, a little while, but.
And like another factor that I swear is a thing is they calculate in some way maxed versus not maxed mercs. You can kind of see it on release a few times, because obviously when you're playing with a higher internal MMR, we queue into the same people a lot, right? Like it's not abnormal for me to queue into the same handful of 2 or 3 people, maybe 4 at max, over like a 2-hour playing session of playing a bunch of games. But so we run into the same people, but one thing I have noticed is when a new Merc comes out, if I have them leveled up, you know, maybe I don't have it all the way leveled up, right? Like when Localar came out, I wanted to do some PvP with him before I had him ready. Well, I just maxed out his second item and his first skill, good to go, right? Like it's not perfect, but it worked as kind of the Valeera counter. But what I noticed is when I was queuing, when I was using a team with just old mercenaries that were all maxed and done, if I swapped it to that build with a local R in it, I would often not get the same person, and I would get someone who I had never played before. So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think the system's doing that to try and match like people who have either whaled out on the game or who have grinded a ton to get that +1/+5. I think it tries to keep people with that together and without that together, which not a bad thing at all. But it's like it just makes it. I think it makes the strictness of the matchmaking even worse in some cases, and I think that's another reason why our pool of people we play against is just more limited.
Yeah, how many of these problems get solved by just having like twice as big a player base too, right? Like, I think we're obviously at like a minimum of players, and like most other games, like high elo has a higher, like you have to wait longer to play against good people when you're good. Like that does tend to be a truism across most.
It's true in Hearthstone too.
Yeah, I wonder how much it would get changed. Yeah,
like base Hearthstone, if you notice it more in lesser populated formats like Classic and Wild, but if you get to Wild Legend on the first day, they have bad queue times. Like now, to them, bad queue times is pretty much our standard queue times. If you have higher MMR and Mercenaries, but generally somewhere between 3 and 5 minute queues I've seen. And let me tell you, people do not enjoy that. And especially as like content, I've seen multiple different content creators complain about it because it's like, well, you know, it's kind of fun to do the little race up to legend in the beginning, but it's actively making it harder for me to play more games on stream. And it's just like, or just play, not even if you're streaming, just play more games in general. And I don't really like that. And another thing with this is if you have a high internal MMR, you are heavily incentivized to start your grind at the beginning of the month, because it doesn't matter if you've climbed not at all for the month and you're at 0 rating, the game still matches you based on your internal. I like this month in February, I didn't start playing for about 5 or 7 days in or something. I still was getting people in the top 50. And I was starting at 0. Obviously, I was gaining more MMR because you gain that, you know, initial 300 in the beginning. But like, it shouldn't, like that just doesn't, that shouldn't be how the MMR system works. It just feels like it's so weirdly strange and punishing. But I don't want to focus on this like too much because we do have like one more big topic to cover, and I don't want to forget about that. Like new Mercs, like I want to talk about the meta and the new characters. Everyone probably wants to really hear about that. So
real quick, I just want to say a point on to how before you were saying about when new Mercs come out and in PvP and everything, how it really changes up who you're playing against. I, right as Chi-Ji came out, unlocked Chi-Ji, and recently I just had that experience. I'm like, I just want to throw Chi-Ji into PvP as fast as possible. I got the first ability up to skill 3, no equipment or anything, threw it in with nature, played people I've never seen before, all of these very old comps of like Cariel, Sam, and Zyrella and stuff, and all of these old comps, and like a lot of, I think like some of these players were probably like around maybe 6,000 or before, because I would check the leaderboards on just to see if I could find this person, and I was going all the way down to 8,000. I'm like, so they had to be below that, and I'm at least 4,000 higher than them. So
I wonder if they got locked in a system that got changed, and they're like stuck in the old matrix of whatever the old MMR system was. It's like if they turboed up to 6K when there were all the bots and like stopped there, haven't played since, but their internal is still that. Like,
because that's what I was wondering.
How much rating were you getting when you win?
Around 70. So
it's like standard, right?
Out. Yeah. And so what I thought was weird though is I only had those 3, and just skill 1 was at level 3, so only 2 upgrades, no equipment. And then I did a bunch of tasks and got the equipment, got a bunch of upgrades, and I think I had all of the skills at 3, and then instantly I went back to leaderboards again, players. So, and before that was not a single Valera in any of the games, no frost comps at all. And then it got like 5 upgrades, equipment upgraded and everything, and then boom, instantly leaderboards, frost. So it does, there is something with, you have one Merc on the team that's very low, and it will verse people who are way lower than you, which makes it actually a lot easier to climb, you know, if you know how to play, which I don't think is really too fair about it.
Not fair at all.
That's like exactly beating what they're trying to have not happen.
So that's what we should do next month.
Yeah, just don't level a mercenary and easy rating farm, right? It's just so weird. I mean, literally, I don't know if y'all remember this, when Mercenaries came out, they literally talked about how it was the most complex matchmaking system or something they've ever made for the game. And I think that very much shows, but yeah, it's too complex. It's just, I think it's too complex for its own good. And this is what I call the mantra of Mercenaries: good intentions, poor execution. It's like the idea was good and the intentions were good, but the reality is not. And that just seems to be a trend to me, that it's like, I don't doubt a lot of these ideas and things that are implemented into the game are like good intentioned and wanting to, you know, make players happy. But it just, a lot of the times, how it shakes out doesn't really accomplish that in the ways a lot of the players seem to want, from my experience. But it's interesting, and I'm glad you mentioned that, WizardBeast, because like I've had a similar experience with that before, and it's just like if I wanted to make my life easier, I would just not level a mercenary, and I would do that, and I would have probably less bad queue times as well. So it's like it's frustrating when it feels like you almost have to like game the system if you want to be efficient. And I don't really like that at all. Like, I just want to be able to play the game. I just want to, you know, play against other people that are, you know, treating it like kind of competitively, seeing I mean, I just love the PvP so much. I just want it to be the best it can be. And it, like, the gameplay, there's really not a lot of critiques I have outside of, you know, some things to say about Valeera, but like other than that, like I don't really think like there's a whole lot. All right, so here's my thing with local R, and this, I guess this will be our segue into the PvP discussion, right? So I don't mind local R personally. I agree with what one of the balance testers, Charles, said on Twitter about him. I know local R is a little more controversial because of his RNG elements, but the thing I've liked about him is he creates different board states in a bunch of different ways in different games, and it makes me actually have to think about my turns differently from game to game, and it doesn't feel like I'm playing out like the same matchup where I know what is going to happen by just seeing their starting lineup. The big thing with local R is I think he is incredibly powerful, but he's his power is a symptom of Valeera warping everything, because without Valeera here, I think local R would still be a great character. I don't think he would be like half as powerful as he is right now, because he just,
that's a fair assessment,
is the Valeera counter. Like at one point I was thinking maybe, you know, I was going to do a tier list or something. I was like, is local R S tier with Valeera? Is he up there? But the more I thought about it, I'm like, if in a world where Valeera is gone, local R is still good, he is not nearly as insane as he is right now.
No. The only other thing I'd add to him too is like, imagine if local R just wasn't Frost. Imagine if local R was just green local R and he was just Fell, right?
Oh.
Completely different world. Completely different universe that we're living in. And like Frost just happened to be like the absolute nut typing for him. And just
even
because
fire.
It protects the double blue. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Almost any other, like if you took that Merc but put it on any other name, any other flavor, completely, you don't even think twice, I think, about whether or not he's like too strong. But I think Valeera is 100% warping his own power level, which is like kind of the point, right? But I honestly felt like it was not to just like steal it, but like in terms of like local R, I like the effect that local R had, and we didn't have to nerf anything. And he feels like if as long as the counters are less broken than whatever the thing they're countering is, like maybe this is okay to keep doing. But I don't know. It's certainly a limit to push.
The one thing I liked about local R was that there are certain play rounds though. Like if it's, say you're going against Frost Opener and you're like GVT. Instead of speeding up super fast, you can take the route of going super slow and playing around that random increase, the +4 damage on all of your frost spells for the rest of the turn if they go faster. So it's cool in that sense how there at least is a play around. Unlike Valera, it's like she does things at speed 3, and if you don't have anything at 3 or 2 to try and stop that stealth from going off, there's no way to really play around it. Local R, you can, if you want, you can just go all the way, be like, you know what? I'm going to leave it up to RNG. I'm going to still go fast and just hit them. Or, it's also mind games there. Maybe they think you're going to go slow, so they go even slower, and then you still go fast. So it's at least play around.
There's some mercenaries that are locked out of those slow skills at the start, just so you know. And what I don't like about local R is mainly its equipment. I do like how it does shape the meta a little bit, and it does give you that counter to Valera. Yeah, local R is okay, but all I'm saying is that equipment, it's way too strong. It should be toned down just a little bit because it doesn't only affect him, it affects Varden as well. It affects Jaina, and then that is a lot of damage.
It's huge.
Like local R by itself with its 5 speed. Okay, this is if you all went off before his hailing storm or whatever it's called. It can potentially do over 100 damage just with that one skill, by the way. Okay. And then you're not taking into account the damage that it's adding to Varden and Jaina. So, I mean, if that doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what else to say. All I want to say is, it needs to be a little bit toned down.
Yeah, it's probably the highest individual DPS equipment in terms of like intent, or what's it like, kind of like representative damage of any equipment by like a ludicrous margin. I mean, what even like thinking kind of quickly, what even begins to approach the amount of damage that represents? Honestly, hilariously, Yulon probably, right? With the stacking nature damage, like the brand new Merc that we just got. Because I was gonna say like maybe that's what they're going into, right? Like all these numbers for the last like 10 Mercs have been big.
They've been huge.
This could be spooky, but
I mean, see. This is what I'm starting to see is instead of downscaling, I think they're going to start upscaling everything. I think they're going to revisit, maybe by a year, like the anniversary of Mercs, they might go back and look at like 20 of the old Mercs and be like, hey, Gul'dan, 10 speed, 20 damage, now is 40 damage or something, just like increase those numbers and change things. Yeah, I think eventually they will do level cap and maybe even skill increase.
That's where
also.
Our extra coins are going. I forgot about that.
That's a hard sell to me. I've heard people theorize that before. I don't think you could get away.
They did say something early on about increasing level cap.
Yeah,
so they did say level cap for sure. I don't know about skill cap.
Didn't they say? I thought they said like we have no plans for that right now or something. Like I thought they like shut it down. Like not as never gonna happen, but as like not anytime soon.
They said not anytime soon, but they said there definitely will be a level increase, just not anytime soon. And they said your access coins, don't worry about them; they will be useful
someday.
So they said someday. So no timeline on it.
Well, we know the timeline isn't 5 months. But no, I think like what both Dallas and Mullahoo are saying are kind of on like along the same lines, where like I think the item on local art would be less problematic if it wasn't scaling your Varden and your Jaina. If it was just scaling his own abilities, I don't really think there'd be much to complain about there. But the fact that it's Frost, which is like one of the most ridiculous and powerful synergies and tribes in the game right now, especially we got Belinda at the same time for even more Frost support. It's just, it feels a little much and especially when other kind of strategies are still so lacking, like Fel and Arcane and Beast to a lesser extent, even though we just got some new ones of those. It's like, it just feels like if he was any other element, I think it would be less bad. And the other thing is, I think his numbers are a little overtuned there. Basically, I think of his item kind of the same way I think of Valera's natural smoke thing, right? Like, it's 4 and it should be 2. You cut that number in half, you have a lot less problems in the game.
Yeah.
And I think
what's funny is,
yeah.
What's funny is like I've kind of been doing this recently, where I would not use skills on some of my sorry.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use a skill on some of my mercenaries for some turns, and that's just, it seems kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, it's there's a philosophy there that I've talked about once or twice before, where if your opponent's ability is so strong that it in some cases is the correct play to do nothing, I think that's a little problematic. And like, obviously this depends a bit on your comp, but like I was playing some Shadow Valera, right? And you don't have an option to go slow with Shadow Valera. You're going fast or you're doing nothing because you get that Vol'jin speed. Yep. And it's like, and my mindset on that is you just kind of have to roll with it and just hope the RNG doesn't screw you, because I think it's always worse unless it's like a specific case scenario, like towards the end of the game, where you're trying to, figure out the math and the plays so you get that close win. I think in the beginning of the game, it's always better to just do your stuff and make your opponent like stop you than do nothing. Because if you do nothing, it's like their skill gets even more value, right? Like, because it's denying a skill, and we've all seen with like things like cookie snipes and other speed manipulation, denying a skill, or freeze with Varden. Denying a skill is incredibly powerful in this game because you only have 3 of them per turn most of the time. So it's like when you shut one of those down, that's a third of the actions you're doing that turn. So it's I get what you're saying though. Like I've felt that same way before, where it's like, because like you said, some of the slower skills are locked on turn 1, so you can't even really play around it very easily with certain leads. Because you have to wait, and that's one thing that bugs that crap out of me about Yu'lon's like Valera counter ability to get rid of the stealth and stuff. Like, 1, it's speed 1, it should be speed 0. It should not be a speed 1 skill. Like, even at speed 0, it would have
been such a fine ability to have as like the first 0 speed ability. Like, that's the most like not toxic 0 speed ability you can get.
Exactly.
And they still didn't pull the trigger.
I feel like either that or just have it have no cooldown.
Yes,
like
either
or.
If
you can use it on turn 1.
It has
like that would be
the fact that it has
so
cooldown
nice.
blows my mind. Like, literally, by the time you have the opportunity to use that skill, Valera is faster than you. And while that doesn't make it totally useless, because like, for example, against GVT, well, that's a little different because Thrall can slow it if he wants to, or not Thrall, Grom, but. You can, since it's skill 1, you can't outspeed the Valera, but you can get rid of it before, 1 or more often 2 speed sped up things act and slow them back down to 6. But it's just like, I don't think we needed to be as careful with that as they were. Like, it feels not bad, but not as good as it could be. And one interaction I do want to point out for our viewers here, because I'm sure many of them have probably not ran into this yet, is how that actually works is it is a temporary debuff that is applied. And this also does get rid of your own taunts, by the way, outside of Yu'lon. It is all other characters, not just your opponents. I definitely got caught by that once. But the bigger thing with his ability is it applies a debuff to the characters. And so if Valera was in stealth, this debuff will remove her stealth. Her stealth is not gone, though. That stealth is still on the character, but there is a debuff preventing it from being active. At the end of that second turn, the debuff goes away and Valera automatically re-enters stealth. I really don't like that. I think, and this is true even if she uses an ability that does not re-stealth her that turn. So you could use Fan of Knives, you could use her second skill, and because she had stealth from before, once that debuff wears off, the stealth is returned.
Really?
Yeah. No,
is that working as intended because of the language block, not remove?
I'm not. I could be. It's just, and
we've
it
never
makes
really
sense
seen block ever, so I'm not sure if there is a precedent for that. But like, maybe
it could be, because I mean, like I said, the debuff is on the character,
she loses
but
stealth when she uses the skill. Like
yeah,
you said that
because it's on her.
So, so she had stealth.
Yep.
Then the debuff was put on top of her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's out of stealth.
Yep.
Right?
Being blocked.
And then, okay, say the next turn she uses Fan of Knives.
Yep.
Right? So she can still cast the Fan of Knives at 3 speed? Is that what you're saying?
No. The stealth, the buff from the stealth is like the speed buff is gone until she gets back in stealth. But if you click on the character, you can see there's a buff and a debuff on her. The buff is stealth, but it's not active because she can be targeted and she's not sped up.
Oh, okay.
But
okay, then now I get that part. So say if she does use Fan of Knives at 7 speed, and then the debuff goes away.
Yep.
Does she re-enter stealth?
Yes. At the end of turn, she re-enters.
The next turn after that, there'll be a Fan of Knives buff for the.
She'll get both. Yeah, you effectively would get both.
Get the stealth. Really?
Yeah.
And what if she was the last mercenary alive? That turn. Do you know?
All right, so there are currently some weird bugs with that. We've seen a few different things. Like there's currently a bug with Sinestra. So for anyone who doesn't know, when Valeera is the last mercenary on the field, and the other two have died, at the end of the turn, if she's the only one there and she is in stealth, it automatically removes stealth. And so with that interaction, there are currently some bugs with that. One of them is with Sinestra. If Sinestra AoE clears the other two units but does not clear Valeera, because that goes off of end of turn, it goes off after the Valeera check, so she will remain in stealth. I don't think that's intentional. But the weirder one that I ran into the other night is if you kill off the other two units and she has that debuff from Yu'lon on her, but she had stealth previously, if she is the last unit there and you try and hit her with that targeted attack, it will not hit her and it will treat it as if she was stealthed. So it'll remove her stealth, which isn't even active, and negate your attack. And I almost lost a game to that the other night, and I was really mad about it.
Can you repeat that last part? So like, you had targeted her with what?
So I targeted one of the other units that died, I believe. I didn't target her directly. I don't know if that plays into the bug, but it was like GBT, and I killed their Grom and I killed their Thrall, and I had one attack queued left. So that attack should go on the Valeera. Valeera was not in stealth, but she did have the stealth buff on her. It was just not active because I used the Yu'lon skill. However, when my attack went to target her, I think the game read it as Valeera has stealth. I can't hit her. Remove stealth instead. But she lived, and my attack did not hit her, even though she didn't have the stealth.
And then she went back into stealth.
No. It removed the stealth.
It removed the stealth
permanently. Yeah, it did not, because it would have normally come back after the Yu'lon was wearing off that turn, but it didn't come back. So that's what I think was causing the bug. Is the game was like, oh, she has stealth, but the stealth wasn't active. It didn't know to check for that with the Yu'lon debuff. So I think that's what caused the bug. Not sure. I've only seen it once, but did want to let people know about that.
Once is enough.
Yeah, I hope I don't see it again. I was that
anyone else notices it.
That made it into a video, and I had some colorful words for that bug. I was really mad because you expect the character not in stealth to get hit by the, because it almost totally flipped the game on me. It really did.
Zombie is a completely different person when he plays PvP. Does anyone else notice that?
I haven't noticed it.
When I stream PvP, definitely.
When you stream PvP, well, that's the only time we see you play PvP.
I keep.
Oh wait, no, we can spectate you.
It's I let it. I let my feelings fly a little bit more freely on the stream as opposed to the YouTube videos. But yeah, so
check them out.
Yeah, these new mercenaries.
/zombies.
Yeah, zombies going on now. But yeah, I'm hoping to get back to streaming in March. Just been real busy. But so these new mercenaries, right? Like dragons are finally here, you know. We kind of, you know, got that word, you know, dragons are coming, and then I think a lot of people were a little underwhelmed with the initial dragons because, you know, Rathian wasn't that impressive. We wanted him to be.
I think there's potential for him.
Oh, there's potential.
Really?
I don't think he's a bad character.
It
just
needs to be the right comp.
Not yet. Like I don't think he's there yet. I think he needs more support. Like we talked about, lack of fell support is problematic.
He can gain so much HP though.
Yeah, no, he's cool.
You have to be around. You have to be an opener though. You have to like somehow convince yourself to play as an opener.
It's
But remember that first ability where we were like, it actually makes him like slow forever and stuff. When you're figuring that, so like, I don't know. Maybe there's some weird stuff that we, like you said, just needs more support or something. But
he could be good, but I think he needs more support. But we got good dragons now, like good, more usable dragons. And
right now, if you go to hearthstonereplay.com and or .net, and filter by parties, top 10%, even with just the smallest sample size, the number one highest win percent deck right now is Yu'lon Sinestro Longshin. Like that's pretty sick.
Yeah,
that's pretty sick. Like that looks with the nature bench, like that looks pretty crazy. Like that's really showcasing in my mind like just the power of Longshin's like shenanigans, and people did not like Sinestro was already really good just targeting herself with everything. Forget about it when you're
it's insane.
Saving, you're just gaining 50 and blocking things, and like with these 1 and 2 speed abilities that are just these enormous number swings. It's pretty cool. Like this is what I want to see. I want to see new Mercs come out and then just like it's a crazy tribal deck that is the best deck for like a week or something. People figure it out and then you keep going. But like I want to see someone open this in 6 months and I'm gonna go, oh, that's so sick. Remember when that was blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and that's what Mercenaries should be. The second deck is basically like the deck that I've been playing. That's pretty cool.
The Frost. You see what's it? Frost.
Local Arterian Varden. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love that. That opener is like so mid-rangey and medium, but it's so fine.
I haven't tried that one yet.
The local R city. They're playing a different bench because I'm playing like kind of a meme bench. But Karen Diablo Illidan.
Yeah, I see that one. There's some pretty neat comps going around right now. I think it's cool. We've all, I think, been trying some different stuff. Like, I know you were really big on Zwen, Mullahoo. WizardBeast has been messing a lot with Chi-Ji. I think he has by far the most Chi-Ji experience between the four of us. And I've been all in on these dragons. Like, I've been throwing dragons in pretty much everything I can. And varying results, but like that Sinestra skill too, the fact that you can target other dragons is insane. Like 60 HP and damage reduction and 2 speed, and it's arcane, which it doesn't sound super relevant, but it's actually come up a few times with comboing a Blink Fox for me. It's like I can't get over how ridiculous of a character Sinestra is. Like, she was already really good before. I mean, I think people eventually, started figuring out, hey, I have to pack powerful red on the bench, otherwise I'm going to get wrecked by Sinestra. But now with other dragons, she's just absurd. Like, you're actually getting that. I don't know if you guys have used her skill 1 too much, but like in one of the builds I tried with Dragon Opener, 10 bleed is a lot. Like that was really good for me against some of the Jaina comps I was running into, because I hit them for 26 with Sinestra on turn 1, and then they're bleeding for 20 every turn. That kills pretty quickly. Like, that adds up really, really fast. And then now that we have another all-star of the Dragon comp, Yu'lon, Pearl of Yu'lon giving 4 less damage to your other dragons, they just are tanks. Like, it's almost like with Cornelius, where you're forced to focus down the Cornelius first, otherwise you're going to have a much harder time getting through his healing and his protection, except he's basically giving that a better Cornelius protection to 2 different units if you have dragons, and that's just passively. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's good. That's why I really want to level up my my dragons.
They're so much fun.
Dallas, did you have like a focus of this drop of like who you kind of like tried to grind up first or like build stuff around?
Well, to be honest, initially it was Longshin that I wanted to grind up first, and I think Longshin is pretty good. I'd like to say that, like, because we're talking about the new Mercs, right? They did a really good job overall, I think.
Definitely.
All 5, I think. Which one didn't I like?
Newzow, the cow hasn't really seen any play yet. But...
Yeah, but I think there's potential there.
You were trying him a bit on stream, weren't you?
Yeah, I tried it a little bit. Yeah, there's potential for that one. Because it does add some disruption, I think.
The Divine Shield looked pretty sweet. Like, I was surprised watching you play with it. It honestly, like, not saying it was insane or anything, but like it was better than I thought. Like, on paper, that's kind of how I felt about a lot of these mercenaries, especially Yulon. I really thought Yulon was not going to deliver nearly as much as he did in terms of like power and synergy, but like he's really, really surprised me. Just how good he is with the dragons.
Not just in PvP. I'll say this. I know we're talking about PvP, but in PvE as well, it's been nice to play the dragons.
Oh yeah,
you know, it's a fun experience, really. Doing the heroic bounties with Yulon, Sinestra, and Longshin. I think they can take on pretty much anything.
They're really good in PvE. Like I noticed the same thing. Like the Longshin being able to swap a unit out to mess with the AI's targeting has saved me more times than I can count getting to a bounty. Because you know those heroics, they'll target down one of your guys, and a lot of times by turn 2 or turn 3. They can kill them before you can really act or heal up or kill them, right? And so Longshin being able to swap the abilities out and then Sinestra being able to heal and prevent damage, like, I 100% agree. Like, I've had probably the most amount of fun doing PvE with the dragons compared to, like, any other comp. Like,
so that's why I'm like, I can't wait until I grind these up and play some PvP. It's gonna be, it's gonna be heaps fun. We should get Kibler in here or something.
Yeah, the Dragon Master himself, right?
The Dragon Master, get it. Dude, if Kibler plays Mercenaries, this game is gonna fly.
Just needs one slippery support down the line.
One day. Accessibility.
Honestly, even just talking in terms of like, I guess it's kind of an accessibility like brief aside too, but like you're saying of like they're fun and like good in PvE. I would honestly think it would be really cool if at some point they release like maybe just 3 options, like like one for every color, but that a merc that is almost designed to be fun to do bounties with. I don't know what that design would necessarily look like off the top of my head, but literally like when you click the button, it feels cool. It does. Either the animations are super clean, or it's just, but like only for PvE. Literally, like if you put it into your comp when you know that you want to go and grind. And just like something about the merc makes it more fun. I again don't know what that means. If anybody has a cool idea, let us know, right? But something like that where you can do that, right? You can just add like one random merc that has one random ability that is just the right type of animation, the right type of like multiple button clicks or one shots for things that it does or speeds I don't know, but I think that would be a cool thing to see down the line.
I don't know how they can do that.
I mean, they did add something recently, kind of like that. The new treasure, where it's like do something fun. Which is actually kind of cool. It's the 1 speed, and it's like random abilities to go off. I've actually had some fun with that. So there is something kind of like that in.
That's a good point.
Yeah, what's that called? Like metronome in Pokemon, where just like what's a random ability?
That's metronome. Metronome chooses a random. And it can be anything. It can be like super legendary. Cool. It could be that'd be neat if I like that how they did it with the treasure, because like you can apply it to any mark basically. It's like
true.
And I do think it'd be cool if we did get some more, like, obviously I want the characters to be good for PvP because that's what I mainly enjoy, but like it would be cool if we got like a balance of like PvE and PvP stuff, because I feel like right now the stuff that's good in PvP just ends up being good in PvE by general. Like it's just generally
maybe that's
good.
what I'm saying, is like PvE specifics. PvE specific mercs, like I mean kind of like King Crush and Ragnaros, right? Or maybe some of the closest to being like the fun ability for PvE, and that's
Crush is fun.
That's probably the closest we got.
I use him in my main farming comp. One thing I also really, really liked about this drop, especially for Longjin, his items are, basically every one of those items supports a different kind of play style, and none of them are bad. Like, I've seen Longjin. So one of them is more support for dragons specifically, give your dragons that health when you're swapping positions. Then the other one, it rewards him for being on the bench, getting additional arcane when he comes in by depending on how many of your beasts or dragons have died. So that kind of makes him more of a bench mercenary. If you're using in that build, gives you, reason to run beasts and stuff like that. And the other one is also still really good. Passive nature damage, which is, never a bad thing. But I think the bigger thing with that skill is your Among the Stars starts off of cooldown, and being able to use that ability on turn 1 enables some really big mind game shenanigans. So I love how there is like support for 3 different builds, and depending on your build, you are not using the same item for this character. Like, I tried it in that a cool beast opener with dragon backline, and that was some of the most fun I've had in Mercenaries in a while. Like, playing with beasts again, getting to do new cool things with the dragons, and that dragon bench, especially when you have like, because it counts beast summons that die too. So you have Muklow's big brother, or if you have Rexar summoning some beasts or anything like that, that arcane damage stacks up pretty quickly, and it can make Longjin a really, really hard unit to kill. And I did some kind of cool stuff with Blink Fox with them too. I was actually running the Blink Fox equipment that makes their skill 1 have more damage, and actually got some combos off with increased damage from the Longjin too. It's like, it was really, really neat. And I want to see more items like that where it doesn't feel like, okay, this is the best item, this is what I'm running on this character. I like that variety and build differently
like Zhuan.
to maximize. Yeah, exactly. Like, Zhuan's items are kind of mediocre, except for the one that steals from an enemy, which is great.
One really good one, yeah.
And that was a design trend we saw in the initial batch of Mercenaries, right? Like, and that was why I think a lot of people were frustrated with the Task 7 stuff, because 90% of the time the good item was locked behind the task. You didn't get it from leveling up or the early task 1. Whereas now it's locked behind heroic, which is also a little controversial. But it's not always the best item, right? Like, I don't think especially for Longjin, all 3 of his items are good. So it's not like you're dealing with just the one locked behind there, which I think is important. Like, I think, like we talked about earlier with the PvE stuff, I didn't realize this until I saw people talking about it, but there are a fair amount of people who have played this game who have not gotten past Blackrock Mountain.
Like, they just can't even beat the final bosses?
Yeah.
On normal or heroic?
I would assume normal, because that's all you need to progress, but I've heard more complaints about not even having access to the Chi-Ji event because they don't even have Alterac Valley. This is coming from not only new players. This is coming from some people, I think, who have actually played the game since launch. It's just like the PvE is harder for some people than others. Like, even normal, I was watching Old Guardian do some PvE, and he actually revisited Ren Blackhand, and even on normal, man, that fight is like, it's not easy, especially if you have a more limited roster, but like, it is not an easy fight even on normal. I kind of forgot about it because it's been so long. I kind of just blitzed through them all at the beginning, but like, it's just kind of interesting to see, because that's not a perspective or an assumption that I would have made, but it seems to be, at least for a decent portion of some people who play this game, it seems to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think the PvE getting harder is cool. I think it's like, it does feel a little bit worse, but I mean, it means you got to grind, and in that sense, that makes the PvE matter to people for at least a little bit in the beginning. Like if you are bumping your head against the wall, like I can imagine that happening if you run into a particularly nasty boss, like you said, like Rend, and your collection is just like not really what I don't even remember what is Rend a protector. So like you just like
I think he's
don't
a fighter.
Have
I could be
okay,
wrong.
yeah. So like if you just like have most of your focus on like fighters and protectors for some weird reason, you just like don't have any good casters and it just like becomes really hard. I don't know. It's something weird about like I could see why people run into that issue.
You can't use fire comp a lot in Blackrock too, which I think is a big thing. True. I think a lot of people locked into that, you know, early on, especially fire comp was the farming comp. So I remember early on when I got to Blackrock, I was like, oh crap, I can't use fire here, and what am I going to do now? I need to find a new farming comp team. So it's certainly very interesting to hear a different perspective like that. I'm curious though. I do want to talk a little bit about Valeera and some of the comps that are still around from last meta. One interesting development I think is kind of a sign of how Valeera is still warping things to an extent is the fact that Local R is very clearly the most obvious Valeera counter we've gotten so far, and probably the most powerful. But instead of him just becoming a mainstay in like all builds to kind of counter Valeera, he's just being run with Valeera now. And
really?
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, you're not going to open with both of them, but you just
just like on your bench,
throw them on your bench, and then you can swap it up, right? Like, I still stand by. This is one you played a lot of, Dallas. I believe that kind of multi-opener comp with like Jaina, Varden, Rag, Belinda, Valeera, Localar, I think is the list. And I still think that is one of the absolute best comps in the game, purely because it can open like 5 different ways, so you can never really like full counter against it. And it's just using like 6 of the most powerful mercenaries in the game right now that can counter some of the very popular, powerful comps like Frost Valeera. Like we saw so much Frost Valeera, and I know that's probably number 1 on everyone's hate list right now because it is not fun being cold snapped for 4 turns of the game, 3 turns of the game.
Yeah.
At 2 speed. At 6 speed really wasn't too big of an issue. At 2 speed, it's a little bit more problematic. And again, Varden wasn't a problem really before Valeera. And even after Valeera wasn't like that bad, but now with all this extra Frost support, kind of shored up some weaknesses I feel like they had before that they have less of now. And the synergy is just so strong, and the openers you can do with it are so, like, the comp plays so differently depending how you open that I've had a hard time thinking of something that's even in the same ballpark in terms of like versatility, having game against like the whole field.
No, I definitely like that deck a lot. It's actually kind of, I think I said it to on Twitter or whatever, in Dallas's poster or whatever, but that was yet another thing that we talked about a long time ago. That was like, when will we first see it? I think we used the Magic terminology of like Jund, right? Where like in Magic, like Jund is just like the mid-range good stuff deck, but it just is, all of its cards are above rate. It just trades 1 for 1 and it just kills you. And
I think we're thinking of a sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, just like in the sense that now this deck is all of a sudden like it crosses denies all tribal lines despite having a ton of Frost stuff inside it. But that it's like, it's this deck at the same time, it's another deck at the same time. It just can have all these moving parts that are purely getting carried by individual power levels of all the Mercs just being nuts. And then with a couple synergies that you can like move around, the deck is really clean. And I think, like Zombie said, really kind of the first of its kind now that we have enough Mercs to fill out a roster to build this deck.
Was it that deck, Mullahoo, or was it my other deck that I was playing that you commented on?
I think it was the Rag one, because I was just like it was just like Rag and a not fire comp, right? Is like the first like good staple of that being. That's like, what's going on?
I think.
Oh, okay.
Illidan is another like no tribe, just like good stuff mid range. He stabs you.
Yeah, he would fit the bill there for sure. Yeah. Like I could see that.
Fun deck. I know which one you're talking about, but I used Valeera instead. Like there was 2 versions of it. One is the one with Rag, and the other one has Valera in it instead. And yeah, I think you're
like
thinking
instead of Illidan. Yeah, because I see one here. There's like on Hearthstone Replay that has.
I don't think he posted the RAG version. Yeah, he posted the. I told him there's two versions. The Valera one is stronger, I think.
Oh yeah, because the one you played in tournament, I think, which was Sensu's deck, I think too, right? But it was that one that had like the 6 different moving parts to it. But regardless, those decks are still super sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing with them also. I've been doing it where it's Jaina, Varden, Belinda, Sinestra, Rag, and Locoar. And it's cool because, you know, it's just like 5 different openers I can do. So I can kind of, you know, figure out, you know, if they have 3 greens or something, if it's going to be Frostway, right? You know, I'll open a Rag Locoar, so then can't be frozen, do a lot of damage, and then also throw in like Belinda in there. So then the cool thing too is like with Belinda, which I really love her design, is because she's Frost and Fire, then I can also have a combo for my Rag if I really need to. So it's really cool how there is, you know, all of those different combos in those type of decks where you're really switching everything up. So and it's a lot of fun to play too, because it's not, you know, the same opener every game, and even if you're versing, you know, same kind of couple comps, you know, it's a little different. Where this one, you're having so many different openers, every game is feeling just completely different. So it's a lot of fun. I think that's so far been my, I'll say my second favorite deck to play. My first has definitely been Chi-Ji. Even though
What's your best Chi-Ji build
breaker.
or favorite so far?
So far it's been a Frost opener, Locoar, Jaina, Varden, and then follow up with Chi-Ji, Malfurion, and Anacondra. Because I've actually noticed that Chi-Ji, because if you open up, normally Malfurion or Chi-Ji gets just killed right away.
Yeah,
but actually having Chi-Ji last can be stronger than Sinestra.
Wow.
I have 1v1 to Sinestra of Chi-Ji because I'm out healing the Sinestra, and because you literally just can go. Because
you keep scaling and she doesn't.
Yeah, and yeah, it's endless scales, and then you're doing a massive damage and then massive heal on yourself. Even though you're not critting where the Sinestra is, you can just get up to a high enough life total also with the Anacondra, just giving your beast more and more life. So you could just stack up Chi-Ji, and I've had events where I've done a 1v4 with Chi-Ji before. So having Chi-Ji at the end can be very strong if they don't have anything to kill her right as he comes out.
And again, is this with the asterisk of the I've heard rumors of the Chi-Ji healing power like scaling thing being oddly bugged right now. Do we know if that's a thing? Do we know if that is like making it seem like Chi-Ji is a lot better than they will be once this is fixed? Do we know anything about that?
I don't think there's been anything confirmed by any Blizzard employees saying, hey, the damage thing's off. A lot of people are assuming it's currently a bug where the healing power is being doubled for the damage part on your skill 3 where it does damage to everyone, but the healing power is currently accurate. So the healing, you know, if I have a +3 healing power and the ability is a flat 5 damage, 5 healing, and when I use it, I would heal for 8, but then the healing power would double, so then it's 6 plus the 5, so then it's 11 damage to all enemies. So nothing's been confirmed if that is doing extra damage or if that is how it's supposed to be. But eventually, I think even if it is a bug, when the third equipment comes out, where you get +5 healing power instead of 3 on every scale.
People aren't even using that one right now. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of, you know, if they revert that other end part and then this comes out, I think it'll kind of balance it more, and then you're getting more healing anyway. So if anything, I don't think it's going to matter too much. And if they don't, then that's a lot of extra damage.
Okay, no, I'm down. I was a Chi-Ji hater when I first looked at their kit, and then we like started talking about it, and we were like, okay. Now, hey, I mean, I am more than happy to be surprised whenever we just misevaluate a Merc. And honestly, that's been some of the coolest parts about these last series of drops is that like we looked at Yulon, right, and we're like, well, who cares? And actually pretty good. Like looked at even like Longshin kind of, but like I said, Chi-Ji, Belinda was kind of still underestimated, I would say, even though we thought that she was going to be good. I think we didn't even get it right. Beyond that, I think she was even better. Who else was from that set before? The Sinestra, people didn't understand how nutty she was going to be.
There's some of these
people probably got
yeah. I think we were more excited about the potential and whatnot, and waiting for the dragons to kind of see what fully or more fell support, which you're still waiting on. But it's really interesting to see like some of these mercs, especially you brought up Belinda. Belinda was really hard to evaluate when we looked at it on paper because we didn't, and even though this isn't her like most useful skill, we did not realize her skill 3 was actually going to be typed and like choosable. So like that right there is a huge increase in power level. Just keep your synergies going, keep scaling, all that kind of stuff. So I think some of the mercs are just kind of, it's hard to fully evaluate them when we like are looking at them when they're just
literally
revealed.
don't even have all the information sometimes.
Yeah, but it's great because I love like getting to see them and like think about ideas, and then it's kind of like a fun surprise in game when you're actually getting to play with them and you're like, wow, this ability is way better than I thought it was. Like I don't think anybody really called how ridiculous Sinestra's healing was going to be. I mean, obviously we saw big numbers and we're like, yeah, that's good. But especially before we had more dragons that could synergize with her, it was really just good for self-sustaining, right? But now it's like just 1 month later, that ability has gone up in power so much because you can heal your other 2 very powerful dragons. And when you start combining that with even more damage reduction from Yulon and like mind games with Longjin and swapping around, it's like there's just, the dragons have a ridiculous amount of sustain. And that seems to be a theme throughout them, right? Like Alex has that option to heal or damage. Like dragons have that theme of healing, and I really like that. Like I still think Sinestra's ability may be a little bit overtuned for healing. Like 60 and damage reduction is pretty absurd, but it's not without its counters, right? Like it is a very beatable merc if you're packing the right stuff for it and you're like, you know, preparing for that. But man, anytime you have a Sinestra and you see your opponent only has 1 red or their second red dies before she comes out, you're just in a really, really happy spot. Like, because just with blues and greens, unless maybe you're doing some shenanigans with like Diablo Apocalypse, you're going to have a hard time breaking through that wall.
And especially when like Local R isn't even really that good against Sinestra, and he's been kind of on the outs. Like if you've got like a bench Local R, depending on when that comes in against the Sinestra, it's like not even really.
It's hit or miss, right? Like it's not as good as Thrall as a direct counter. However, if you can, the big thing with it is if you have other Frost support, because then you can ramp up his skill 3 faster and then just one-shot her, which is how I've kind of seen him
snowball at a dragon.
Exactly, yeah, snowball a dragon.
Does a snowball check from when he's on the bench? Is it like all Frost spells cast, or does he have to watch?
He has to be on the field, I'm pretty sure. But it can still add up pretty quickly if you do have 1 or 2 other Frost units, or if they can't kill Local R the first turn, you know, he'll start ramping up. You ramp up that snowball like once or twice, and you can. I've had Sinestra die to Local R plenty of times, but he's not as direct of a counter as like I think Thrall is probably the best like individual Sinestra counter because he just smacks in twice with the Doom Hammer and she's gone. But Rag has also been pretty decent sometimes. You know, Rag seeing a ton more play since 2 patches ago when, you know, the boogeyman Frost Valera became kind of a thing. Now Rag is kind of a mainstay in a lot of different comps, and sometimes I'll just throw him in there with absolutely no other fire support because it's like I just need a way to stop the freezing, and you either need a taunt that's quick like Cornelius or something, or Rag. Those are like, at least to me, those are the two most powerful counters to the Frost Valera stuff.
Yeah, the meta is kind of cool now because we have that Rag opener that I've come across a lot.
It's still shifting.
And like the fire comp, you know?
Yeah.
The fire comp is actually viable.
It's not
give
bad.
Give me more fire comp. Give me more fire. I will take the fire comp over Frost all day. That's my only complaint with the meta right now is I see way too much Jaina. Holy Lord. I am literally moving over to now being like, I'll take some Valeras sometimes. Just like stop making me play against Jane of Arden. It's just so boring. So that's the only thing that I want to see shift. But that's kind of what we were talking about before is like it was kind of like, if you go back to the beginning of Hearthstone or the beginning of Mercenaries, it was like fire was really good, and then shadow was really good, and then nature was really good, and now frost is really good. I mean, it's fine. Let the frost mages have their month or two, whatever. It's winter, it's fine. Spring is coming soon, right? Like, it'll let them hang out for a little bit, and that's okay. And it will always feel like a little bit worse when the frost mechanics, like ice block, just never feels fun, right? Like, it just it sucks to play against, but that's the frost stuff, right? Pound sand, move. If you don't like it, go somewhere warm. And same thing. I live in the Northeast, and I'm just sitting here complaining about it. So.
I think it was more balanced though when they couldn't get so much spell damage.
Yeah. Imagine if you just tune down Local R a little bit and make them not adding.
Local R makes them pretty damage. Nuts sometimes. Like, it's because like you're not even like it ramps up. 4 is such a big number, and the fact that it gives you 4 each time, like, think about that for a second. Jaina gives you 3, and you have to use a specific skill for that. Local R, even if they only use 1 skill before he goes off, that is still bigger than the Jaina one, and it's applying to all your characters for that turn. And you're gonna have Frost synergy if you're running Local R 90% of the time, right? Like, yeah, you can jam him in non-Frost comps, but he's just so good with even just Local R Varden. Just turning that 6 damage into 10 damage, that adds up really quick, because you go from critting for 12 to critting for 20. That's almost doubling your damage, and that's off 1 proc. Like, that is a significant like buff there. So those are some thoughts we have. Obviously, the meta is still very much evolving. It's it's too early to say what is the best new comp. I think, we didn't even have it fully solved last time because the new Mercs came so quickly. I do think that comp you brought up before with the very flexible openers is one of the best in the game. And the thing about that is, I think some of these newer comps are suffering a little bit from the fact that their openers aren't as flexible. Like, I stand behind the last patch meta was having flexible openers made your deck like 2 or 3 times better than not. And I think that
was all because of the Varden, the Frost Valera that we were kind of talking about
pretty
before,
much.
The Varden, Belinda,
like
Valera. It was just murdering people. Oh my god, it's getting late. But yeah, that deck was literally warped the format probably more than anything else. Like you said, to suddenly being like, if you can't swap to beat this deck, you are just dead.
You
like,
roll over
that was
on
probably
turn
the
2
one thing
or
we
turn
missed
3
in the 2-week hiatus.
And it still happens, and it still punishes some of these newer decks and whatnot, right? But I think, there are possibly more counters out there for it that haven't just been fully discovered yet. I mean, I've seen some people do some weird stuff like Ragnaros and Eudora and some other stuff, but I think it does limit things a little bit, because the 2 best counters that I've seen to stop all this frost stuff are either Rag to stop the freezes or Cornelius to block the elemental freezing the damage and whatnot. But it's still developing, so we'll have to take another look at that next week. But Dragon seems strong, definitely is something there. I think maybe there's some weird stuff you could do with Beast. Like, I really liked my Beast Dragon build, but definitely needs more testing. And it sounds like Chi-Ji definitely has more potential than we initially thought, definitely more than I initially thought. So I'm excited to do some more testing with him and seeing what happens when we get his, final equipment in like a bit over a week or so. But that's going to ramp it down here for us. I do have a little end question for us for today. I figured since we spent a lot of time talking about the event, I would ask, what would we like to see in the next Mercenaries event? Should it be kind of similar to what we saw this time around, or are there some different things you would like to see? I'll start this one off, and then we can go just like clockwise. That's cool. So with this one, obviously, I mean, the biggest thing I would like to see is like definitely being careful about making sure some of these bugs, like specifically the bugs about like denying the challenge stuff, like I think that needs to be like a real high priority, because like let me tell you, people are really not happy because you don't know. Like I was lucky and I knew that before going into the bounty, but like people were really frustrated by finally, you know, like that Dark Souls analogy you said, Mullahoo, you know, they finally beat that really tough boss and then it doesn't count and you have to do it again. Like that's just like, that really hurts. But I really liked the event overall, so I would like to see more challenges, kind of like we got. I'd like if it were a little bit more new player friendly, so you don't have to have quite as many specific ones. The big thing that I really liked though was this gave us a reason to go through, like, I think all the different areas in the game. Maybe not Blackrock. I think all the others though. Like we went through Alterac, we went through Barrens, we went through a lot of the different bounties, and I thought it was really cool revisiting some of those older ones, which I would never touch again. And that way, like, it gives value to those kind of bounties that just doesn't really exist once you beat them for the first time, and it's not like a bounty you farm, right? Like the Mad Bomber one, right? Like who's gonna go do Mad Bomber again? Yeah. Nobody.
I literally didn't even know. I don't think I'd ever done that boss on heroic. I like didn't even
exactly. So I really like that, and I would like to see more stuff like that going forward, giving us a reason to go back to do some of these old bounties, but do it in kind of like a weird and different way. What do you think, Mullahoo?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that you mentioned there is that I think I would like to see a little bit more new player friendly, but it feels like you should be able to come up with a series of tasks in that sense. I'm fine to keep the same task structure. Like I even like WizardBeast was kind of doing it intentionally as maybe it was originally intended of like 2 per day. But releasing all 10 at once was also fine. I mean, it took me like hours to do it, right? But that was like talking and having help. But that felt like a significant amount of time. But just more new player friendly. But I feel like you can come up with a task list that doesn't need you to have like a weird collection restriction. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I thought the difficulty was pretty good. Maybe just more coins for the other mercs, like doing a whole quest that was really hard and getting like 50 Chi coins and like 25 random Shuen coins or whatever, right? Like for a limited time event, it didn't feel like the rewards were really that crazy. And even considering the difficulty of it, it didn't feel like they were that nutty. Like we got 2 abilities worth of Chi, right? Like, okay, like it was more fun to do regardless of the rewards. Like I literally almost didn't care at all about the rewards. And that's a good sign. If I could care without rewards, like that's a step in a good direction. So I would say a little bit easier, maybe more rewards, obviously, like always, but most of it was pretty good.
Nice. What do you think, Dallas?
1 second. Sorry.
That's no problem.
No, the event. Like I already mentioned before. Look, it was a great idea. But they need to execute it better. The timing, I guess they couldn't do much about that because there were delays. With the previous mercenary drop. But look, I think they're on the right track. Like I said, it was a great idea. I agree. It needs to be more friendlier to newer players. And I don't know, they don't test much, I guess. There were a lot of bugs. I wish they could fix that. Having said that, the new mercenaries, awesome, I would say. I'm really happy with that. What I'd like to see, maybe something like a common goal that the community can work on with the event, you know, that sort of thing.
Like the thing they did in standard, sort of yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. And maybe double coins, you know, make it more
double coin weekend.
You pick protector, fighter, caster, and then you get bonus experience or whatever for every kill you get with that color or something, and whichever color gets whatever.
That's a neat idea.
Something cool. Like that. Yeah,
I like that.
There's heaps of ideas.
Yeah, there's a lot you could do to, like, I think that's one thing we can all agree on is that I think the game could do with better rewards that actually make you feel rewarded for your time put in and not feel like you're getting 1/15 of a skill or something. It just at the current rate, it feels kind of bad. So like whether that's, you know, increasing the coins like Mullahoo said, or doing something like you suggested where like giving like a multiplier to them for an event or for anything really, anything that could make the coin acquisition process less slow, I think would be very positively received by the player base.
Yeah, overall, I think the event, I really liked it, enjoyed it. So I think the next one, as long as they stay on the right track, kind of, fix up a couple bugs here and there, and then I think definitely increase the rewards a little bit. I kind of like what Mullahoo was saying. I literally didn't look at the rewards at all. I just clicked on the quest, kept going, because I was enjoying the event. It was kind of cool to figure out, what comp to do and how to do this and everything. So I really like that. And then also having a mercenary, I think, attached to it was cool. That you, by doing the event, you unlock the mercenary. So I actually kind of like that. Maybe have a mercenary in it again, or maybe like 2 that you kind of unlock through it. But just if that is going to happen, have to make sure that the player base can get to at least unlocking the mercenary if it is through the event. So I think they're on the right track, but just needs a little bit of touch up.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. It's like there are definitely things they could do a bit better with it. And I do like the idea of a free mark in the event. I liked that. Now, I don't remember off the top of my head what the first 2 challenges were, but basically Chi-Ji was task number 2, so I think it was really good that they put him so early on in the progression, so that way, even if you're, someone who doesn't have a full collection, or like a very, progressed collection, I think it's still possible to do those first 2. I don't remember what they were off the top of my head, but I think they were easier than, definitely some of the later ones, like Heroic Localar or Belinda, or some of the other Alterac Valley ones. So I think that is a good thing where, put the skin or whatever towards the end. The thing that's optional, just some kind of cosmetic fun stuff that is not needed to play the game. And then just make sure that, if you're going to put a character behind it, make sure that it is easier to access that character. Because, everyone should get to kind of play with and enjoy that from the event. That's kind of the mentality I have about it. But I think that is going to wrap things up for us here. Before we get going, though, do you want to tell our fine viewers where we can find each of you here on the internet? Do you want to start, Mullahoo?
Instead of plugging my socials, I'm going to say that I just opened my first legendary on my EU account. This is a big one because we're free to playing it. So I opened Malfurion on NA, and it completely dictated how I played. But I haven't opened this one yet. Okay. So what do we think it's going to be instead? I'm currently hovering a legendary.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet.
The beginning, or I have an unopened legendary that I'm staring at on my EU account, my very first one. So what do we think it's going to be? If it's shit, I'm going to be pissed. And we're never going to play on EU again. But if it's great, then we're going to play on EU. Any guesses?
Valera.
This is big. This isn't like 5 packs. If it would be Valera, that would be so funny. And this will be my DGen aggro deck account. Yeah. My only bannable cards account.
So you opened up Malfurion.
No. Oh, Malfurion is on NA. So yeah, that was my first legendary on NA.
Oh, okay.
This one's no legendaries.
My first on EU. I have 0 legendaries at the moment.
Are you recording this, by the way?
The podcast is.
I mean,
he can screenshot it.
Yeah, I'll screenshot it here.
I'm gonna say rag for my guess.
That's a good one.
Rag. Okay.
What about you, Zombie?
I said Valera. I'm going.
Okay.
Valera.
What do you think, Dallas?
Well, let me guess.
I'm gonna guess Belinda.
That's a good one. Watch it
3,
be like
2, 1.
Wait, out.
It's a Sylvanas. It could be worse. It's a Sylvanas.
Oh, that's
Shadow aggro. Yeah, no, that's playable.
That's okay. It's okay. I wish Sylvanas was better, but
she's apparently really high on the Hearthstone replay thing right now, which is funny.
I wonder if she sees play at lower ranks or something. There's got to be a reason for that.
I ran into a few this morning.
Oh, really?
People are running. What was it? Eudora and who's that other one? But anyway, we're closing up.
All right, yeah. So that's my plug. Sylvanas deal. Okay, not bad.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
Oh, okay. What about you, Dallas? Where can our fine viewers find you?
Yeah, no, I'll do what Mullahoo did. I don't want to plug my socials. I just want to say, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world right now, and yeah, I don't know if you guys have been noticing it in my tweets, but like I'm really concerned, especially because Sensor, he's from Ukraine. So what I'd like to say is, yeah, if anyone can do whatever they can to support, what's happening, be it through donations or bringing awareness, that sort of thing. Yeah, just pray for peace. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's a good and important message in these very strange and difficult times that are going on. But yeah, that's life. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna try and find some things to distract from all the negative and the scary stuff out there in the world right now. But that's good. It's good to 100% agree with you that you just gotta kind of hope for the best with all the craziness going on right now. But I do want to mention, since my humble co-hosts here don't want to plug themselves, I'm just going to do it for them because we need the support for Mercenary streamers. So
here's WizardBeast: Venmo, PayPal, Patreon.
But all of us pretty much do, varying amounts of Mercenary streams. The links, as always, will be in the description. Definitely, see. I don't know, just if you enjoy Mercenaries a lot, it means a lot to support the people who are still putting out the stuff for it. It means a lot to us, and we really appreciate it, as always. So all those links, all that good stuff will be in the description as usual. If you're watching here on YouTube, like and a comment really do help out everything. Algorithm helps out a lot with the show, and it's really good to be back. It was really great to have Dallas on again. I know, kind of a little sneak peek, at some point in the future, we're definitely going to be getting Franky on here. For anyone who doesn't know, Franky is an awesome player from Germany, plays on the EU server. He's actually the undefeated EU champion. I think he's like 3 tournament victories in a row or something absurd. Like, he's on another level. So I'm really looking forward to having him on the show, hopefully in the next couple weeks, because every time I watch him play, I feel like I learn so much, and I really appreciate like that kind of stream, that kind of style. But yeah, check him out. I'll put his link in the description below, as well as all of ours, so you know where to find us at this point if you've been watching this for a while. But we do want to say thank you, everyone, for watching, if you're still tuned in at this point, and we really appreciate all the support. But that's going to be it for episode 11 of The Fighting Pit. Signing off. We'll catch y'all guys next time. Peace.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
See ya. Take care.